Chapter 1384. Lu Chen finally followed Tianying and joined the army. Second sister and fourth sister returned to the army with Tianying. It was said that the third sister used to be in the army but unfortunately died on the battlefield. Big sister, do you want to dress up as a woman or something? Lu Chen followed behind Tianying and urged his horse to the western border. Dress up as a woman? You look so sharp. Only a fool can't see that you're a handsome man. Tianying laughed. Don't worry, there are also male soldiers in the army. Moreover, us three sisters are here. No one can touch you in my camp. Lu Chen sighed. With big sister protecting him, the military career he was looking forward to suddenly lost a lot of fun. In the year 473, Lu Chen officially joined the army at the age of 17. Mutants were not humans, nor were they a foreign race in the Jiutian. These mutants were extremely strong, had thick skin, and were born with hard scales. Moreover, their intelligence was not inferior to humans. While watching the battle, Lu Chen found that whether it was the human army or the mutant army, the winning side would take the opponent's spirit core. The battle between the two armies was bloody, but Tianying was worried that Lu Chen would feel uncomfortable seeing it for the first time. However, Lu Chen had seen more than this. Big sister, can this spirit core be refined directly? Why do we have to take the opponent's spirit core? Tianying asked. Aren't you afraid? It's okay. Tianying shook her head. You're really different from ordinary men. Even a female soldier would be scared when seeing this scene for the first time. The reason why we can directly take the opponent's spirit core is actually related to an ancient legend in the Wuxia continent. Tianying said. It is said that when Nuwa molded people, she molded half of a piece of soil into a human. It was a pity to throw away the other half, so she molded it into a mutant. Therefore, we and the mutants are actually complementary ends. We can directly absorb each other's spirit core. Lu Chen's eyes widened. Sure enough, there were all kinds of strange things in this world. Tianying gave Lu Chen a request. Even if his spear skills were outstanding, he could not go to the battlefield to kill the enemy before reaching the martial artist realm. After all, without the support of spiritual energy, normal attacks would not even be able to pierce through the mutant's scales. There were many cultivation formations in the army. Lu Chen could only use a small cultivation formation in Tianying's military camp. Even so, it was still better than secretly cultivating at home in the past. With the help of the cultivation array, Lu Chen broke through to the martial artist realm in 1.5 months and developed his own spirit nucleus. According to the experiences of his previous life in the Tianyuan continent, Lu Chen estimated that he could reach the divine spirit realm in 8 years, and reach the heavenly spirit realm in 4 years. In this life, there was a spirit gathering array in the military camp, so his cultivation speed was even faster. However, to complete the 100 revolutions human king in a mere 100 years, this speed was obviously not enough. Thus, the mutant spiritual nucleus became his greatest hope. Lu Chen really wanted to kill the mutants as soon as possible. However, for the past 5 years, the human race had only been defending the defensive line, while the mutants had never launched a decent attack. Lu Chen really didn't care about this kind of small-scale war. He might as well continue to cultivate. As the West City was relatively peaceful, the two defensive lines in the east and south had already moved a large number of refugees to the West City. In these few years, the West City had become the safest place in the entire defensive line. On this day, Tianying was training new recruits when a soldier rushed over. Report. Captain Tian, the mutant army suddenly moved from the south to the west. A 700,000-strong army is rushing towards our West City. The Grand Marshal has ordered the West City to meet the enemy. We must hold them off for 3 days. Tianying's eyes widened. What a great plan. The Grand Marshal is leading the main forces deep into the mutant territory, but they are attacking our defensive line. At this time, the main forces of the human race would normally need 4 to 5 days to rush back to help. Even if they rushed back, it would take at least 3 days. The entire West City army only had 110,000 soldiers, but this time, the mutant army had 700,000, 7 times their fighting power. Tianying glanced at the new recruits who were training. In this battle, these new recruits might not be familiar with battle formations yet, and would have to go into battle to kill the enemy. Immediately bring people to evacuate the civilians. Don't cause panic. Tianning said. The West General has already ordered the evacuation. Okay, got it. There was no time to lose. Tianning quickly gathered his 10,000 soldiers and prepared to defend the city walls. Half an hour later, in the distance, a black shadow pressed towards the West City defensive line. The soldiers of the West City had not seen such a scene for many years. Especially the new recruits, they could not help but feel nervous. Tianning stood at the top of the city wall and shouted, "All soldiers, listen to my orders. The enemy is right before us. The enemy outnumbers us by several times, and they are coming with great momentum. We must win. But why did we join the army in the first place? To go into battle and protect our friends and family. Behind us is the Saint Church. Our parents, families, husbands, and children are there. Once we break through, they will all become ghosts under the blades of the mutants. Are you willing to watch your parents, husbands, and children be slaughtered by the mutants?" Everyone raised their heads, and their eyes flashed with a different light. One of the soldiers shouted, "No! If you want to touch my family, you will have to step over my dead body." Tianning shouted, "That's right. Even if we have to fight to the death, as long as there is one of us left, we will not let the mutants slaughter our friends and family. It doesn't matter if we live or die. Even if we die, we will die on the battlefield, with our faces covered in yellow sand." Roars of anger erupted from the city wall. The second sister, Tianxiang, hurried to Lu Chen's training room. Fortunately, she did not mean any harm. Otherwise Lu Chen, who was in the state of selflessness, would not be able to resist. She shook Lu Chen awake with great difficulty. Tianxiang hurriedly said, "Chener, hurry up and leave." Lu Chen frowned slightly. "Where to?" "Big sister has ordered you to escort the civilians and evacuate them. The mutant army is already at the city wall. Hurry. It will be too late if you wait any longer." "Mutant army?" Lu Chen frowned. "Yes, 700,000 soldiers. Once they break through the city, the civilians will be in trouble." Lu Chen wanted to join the battle, but the order was so. If the mutants broke through the city wall, he could not guarantee the safety of the civilians. Evacuating the civilians was also an important matter. Understood. Lu Chen picked up his spear and was about to leave the training room when he suddenly turned back to look at his second sister. "You big sister and fourth sister?" Tianxiang smiled. "This is our mission. We will not leave. Chener, go back and tell great-grandmother, father, mother, I am unfilial. I will not be able to fulfill my filial duties." Lu Chen did not lock the door. He could tell that his second sister and the rest were prepared to die in this battle. However, time was of the essence. Lu Chen turned around and left the training room. Looking at Lu Chen's back, Tianxiang shook her head. "Seventh sister, you are really unlucky. Such a good man, what a pity." Suddenly, a voice came from outside the door. "Second sister, you must wait for me." The mutant army was at the city wall. The West General led his troops to meet the enemy. However, the difference in the scale of the battle was too great. The mutant army was like a huge pocket, surrounding the 80,000 soldiers of the West General. With a roar of the dragon horn, the mutant army surged forward like a tidal wave. The West General raised his Zamadeo. "Defend the West City to the death. Kill." Chapter 1385. Lu Chen and a small group of soldiers were evacuating the civilians in the city. The civilians were fleeing in a panic. Lu Chen turned around. Behind him, artillery fire filled the sky, and the sound of fighting filled the sky. Although the manpower here was tight, it was not to the point where they could not do without Lu Chen. Lu Chen thought for a moment, then turned around and returned to the battlefield. "Lu Chen, what are you doing?" A soldier from Tianying's camp pulled Lu Chen back. "The enemy's 700,000 strong army is pressing in. You're a man. If you go back now, you'll be courting death. The commandant wants you to evacuate the civilians. He wants you to leave." Lu Chen shook off the soldier's hand. "If that's the case, then I'll have to disappoint you. No matter what this extreme martial world is like, I'm a man. How can I let these women stand in front of me?" The man was stunned. Wasn't he saying the wrong thing? While she was hesitating, Lu Qin had already run far away. Under such circumstances, she could not chase after him. Sigh. This man is crazy. At this moment, the battle had already begun. 80,000 humans were defending the city gates, while the 700,000-strong army had surrounded the human formation. They began to launch wave after wave of fierce attacks. After a few attacks, the human formation had already lost 20 to 30,000 people. Let's see how long you can last. Don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all. Among the mutants, a general roared loudly. The mutant army once again pressed forward with overwhelming force. This wave of attacks completely disintegrated the humans' defensive formation. The generals of both sides were engaged in a fierce battle. On the city gates, countless attacks were fired into the sky. However, against the 700,000-strong army, these 30,000 city soldiers were only a drop in the bucket. The West general charged into the enemy formation alone. The long sword in his hand was like a flying dragon. In the blink of an eye, he had already killed 30 to 40 mutants. Suddenly, a ferocious general charged out from the mutant army. A pair of giant war hammers smashed towards the West general. Bone tempering. The West general was pushed back by this attack. The huge spiritual energy impact, coupled with the fierce battle, caused the West general to spit out blood. The West general raised his head abruptly and looked at the person who had just arrived. When he saw this person, his eyes widened. The corners of Ao Gu's mouth curled up. Under the command of the human race, there are 4 great generals in the north, south, east, and west. I, Ao Gu, will first cut down you, West General Jin Yan, with my hammer. The two of them once again exchanged blows. After several dozen exchanges, Bone Boiling's twin dragons exploring the sea heavily struck Jin Yan, sending her flying several dozen meters. Jin Yan still wanted to fight, but unfortunately, the spiritual energy in her body was in chaos, and she found it difficult to get up. Ao Gu sneered. The dignified West General Jin Yan is nothing more than this. To be able to die in the hands of my heavenly thunder bone-breaking hammers, it can be considered your honor. After saying this, the bone-tempering hammers had already smashed over. At this moment, a fireball exploded beside Ao Gu. After a moment of delay, someone had already rescued Jin Yan. Tianning, Tianxiang, Tianyan. Jin Yan looked at them. I asked you to provide support from afar. Why did you come down? Run. You're no match for her. Tianning stood in front of Jin Yan. General, you're in the immortal martial realm. If you die, it will be a huge loss to our Saint Hall. We're only in the martial master realm. Exchanging the 3 of us for General's life, it's worth it. What nonsense are you saying? Your strength is in commanding, not. Jin Yan angrily rebuked, but before she could finish speaking, she spat out another mouthful of blood. Ao Gu looked at the 3 Tian sisters and sneered. Tisk tsk tsk. What a loyal dog slave. You actually dared to come and save people. Don't worry, none of you will be able to leave. Just as he finished speaking, Ao Gu's figure was like lightning, already pouncing towards the 3 Tian sisters. Previously, Ao Gu had been focused on fighting Jin Yan. He had been careless and had been obstructed by the fireball. But now the fireball could no longer stop Ao Gu. Tianning and the other 2 wanted to counterattack, but the opponent's speed was too fast. There was a difference of several realms between them. They were simply not on the same level. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the 3 Tian sisters were sent flying back at almost the same time. The 3 of them all fell beside Jin Yan, heavily injured and unable to get up. Jin Yan angrily shouted. Ao Gu, I'll fight you to the death. Ao Gu faintly smiled. Fight? What do you have to fight me? Look around you. Every human had to face an enemy 10 times their number. But the variant humans were much stronger. In a one-on-one fight, they were completely suppressed. Pitiful cries rang out. Almost all of them were from the human soldiers. In this world, if there is room for you humans, then there is no room for variant humans. And we are more qualified than you to live in this world. So within one day, your West City will fall. Not only you will die, once you enter the city, all of your clansmen will die. West General, in the face of absolute strength, anger is useless. Tianning struggled to stand up. Tian Xiang and Tian Yin also staggered over. General, quickly leave. Ao Gu, even if we three sisters die here today, we will definitely save the general. Jin Yan's entire body was in pain, but it was not as painful as her heart. She only hated that she did not have the ability to kill Ao Gu. She did not have the ability to defend the city. Ao Gu laughed loudly. Ha ha ha, you like to block me, right? Ao Gu only released a wave of energy, and the three of them were once again sent flying. At the same time, they vomited blood. Ao Gu coldly snorted. Such ants also dare to block me? Killing the three of you is like killing chickens. This time, let's see who can block this marshal. Jin Yan staggered to stand up. Ao Gu, as long as I have a breath left, I will not let you step into the West City. You think you are qualified to block me? Ao Gu said with a smile as he approached the four of them step by step. Tianning only felt that her body was incomparably heavy and her consciousness was becoming more and more blurred. Faintly, she looked at the towering city wall. This city wall, can it block the variant humans' army? In the West City, is there anyone who can block Ao Gu? In the end, they will not be able to hold on until the marshal arrives. The West City will fall. Just as she was about to close her eyes and wait for death, she suddenly saw a white figure standing alone on the West City wall. That person's hands were behind his back and beside him, a long spear was suspended. The wind lifted his white robe, making his posture even more upright. That familiar, handsome face had an unimaginable calmness. His eyes were as bright as the stars as he looked through the battlefield, as if he was looking for something. At this time, the person she saw was actually Lu Qin. She was ashamed. Did she let down seventh sister? It was just that in the 6 years she had been with him, she had never seen a man as heroic as him. He had a manliness that she had never seen before. As time passed, she even had a misconception. Lu Qin did not seem like her seventh sister's husband, but more like a king. Finally, Lu Qin's gaze landed on the corner of the battlefield. He immediately squinted his eyes, held the long spear in his hand, and threw it out from a few hundred meters away. Ao Gu was about to reach the four of them when suddenly, a sharp cold light shot out. Ao Gu was indeed an expert. He immediately sensed the danger and quickly retreated. With a loud bang, the entire ground shook. The long spear was directly nailed to a position 4 to 5 meters in front of Ao Gu. Following that, from this position, a crack appeared on the ground, extending for 1,000 meters and penetrating through half of the battlefield. Ao Gu's eyes widened as he looked at the direction where the long spear came from. There a white-clothed man was looking down from above, standing proudly. His voice was not loud, but it reverberated throughout the entire West City battlefield. Today, the 700,000 variant humans' army, none of them should think of leaving alive. Chapter 1386. It's its brother-in-law. Tian Xiang's eyes widened. Splitting the heavens and splitting the earth. How is this possible? Even though in the martial arts world, for thousands of years, women were stronger than men, for a person who always liked to break the rules, if he wanted to become stronger, nothing could stop him. With a flash of white light, the figure that was a kilometer away had already disappeared from the spot. Jin Yan only saw a white shadow flash before her eyes, and a large, powerful hand grabbed the long spear. You hurt my family. With a roar, the spear was unsheathed. You are already dead. Ao Gu's eyes widened and used his twin hammers to block in front of him. The white shadow instantly appeared in front of Ao Gu, and with a flash of light he roared. Earth Fiend Xianming's spear, breaking the heavens. Immediately after, with a loud sound, the Tian family's spear, which was not made of outstanding material, directly pierced through the twin hammers and the scales on Ao Gu's body. One spear directly pierced through Ao Gu's body. Seeing this scene, the Tian family's 3 sisters and the West General Jin Yan were petrified. Their thoughts short-circuited and their minds went blank. A divine weapon couldn't even block an ordinary weapon's thrust. Ao Gu, this kind of super expert, could not even block one move from Lu Qin. Ao Gu's eyes widened as he looked at the spear in disbelief. He raised his head and looked at Lu Qin in horror. How can a man be so terrifying? Who are you? Lu Qin looked at him coldly and raised his head slightly. Human King. With that, he exerted force in his hand, and the spear directly pierced through Aogu's body. Aogu had already been killed. Lu Chen turned around and walked in front of Tianying and the others. Big sister, second sister, fourth sister, are you all okay? Tianying was still breathing and Tianxiang was already unconscious. Only Tianyin was injured and on the verge of death. Lu Chen helped Tianyin up. Fourth sister. Lu Chen, I didn't expect you to be so strong. Cough cough cough, fourth sister can't take it anymore. Don't be sad, third sister and seventh sister are waiting for me. I won't be lonely. Lu Chen, defend the west side of the city. Don't let the mutants slaughter the common people. Lu Chen's eyes were filled with tears. Over the years, his three sisters had taken care of him and treated him like family. Today, seeing his fourth sister's tragic death, Lu Chen was filled with grief and indignation. Promise me. Fourth sister's voice was getting weaker and weaker. Lu Chen hurriedly said, Fourth sister, I promise you. Not only will the West City not be breached, but from now on, there will be no more mutants in the Wuji continent. Tianyin was pleasantly surprised. This answer sounded a little exaggerated, but the man in front of her was a miracle. Who was to say that he could not perform another miracle? All right, fourth sister. I believe in you. Jinyan walked in front of Lu Chen. My condolences, sir. Lu Chen stood up and took a deep breath. In 100 reincarnations, other than cultivating time after time, he also had to experience countless parting. Immortals severed their ties with the mortal world, but mortals had to experience life and death through reincarnation. General Shi, let the defenders retreat into the city. I will cover you, Lu Chen said. But Lu Chen's eyes were filled with killing intent. I will definitely fulfill my promise to fourth sister. After saying this, Lu Chen walked directly to the center of the battlefield. Die for me, Lu Chen roared. His figure instantly sped up, and a spear shadow blasted into the enemy formation. General, if you don't want more people to die, give the order to retreat. I will guard the city gates. Jinyan looked at the incomparably brave man. She knew that they had no more strength to fight, so she gave the order to retreat. The defenders scattered and retreated. Lu Chen stood alone in front of the city gates. If there were any pursuers, Lu Chen would raise his spear, and no one could stop him. Up until now, out of the 80,000-strong human army, there were less than 10,000 survivors. They stood behind Lu Chen, looking at the white-clothed man standing in front of them like a god of war. It was truly a case of one man holding the pass against 10,000. The city gates opened wide. The mutant army watched the west city gates open, but they were unable to advance. The city gates closed once more. Jinyan ordered for Tianying and Tianxiang to be sent for treatment, then quickly walked to the city gates. Right now, there was only Lu Chen on the battlefield, and he was facing an army of hundreds of thousands. In a world where men were inferior to women, there was actually such a brave man. Jinyan couldn't believe her eyes. Brat, who the hell are you? An enemy general asked loudly. Lu Chen's eyes were cold. I'm the one who came to kill you. We have hundreds of thousands of soldiers, and you alone. Even if you are an immortal martial expert, you can't stop our mutant army. Lu Chen coldly snorted. He raised his spear and twirled it in front of him. A mere 700,000? How about this? I'll give you all a chance. All of you can come at me together. Jinyan's internal injuries almost flared up. Shouldn't they be stalling for time and have the generals fight one-on-one? This Lu Chen was really good. He wanted them to come at him together? It wasn't just Jinyan. The mutant army was also stunned. Commander, he wants us to come at him together? How can this man be so arrogant? I've never seen such an arrogant person in my life. 1 against 700,000. Seeing that the mutant army didn't move, Lu Chen was a little impatient. I told you all to come at me together. If you don't want to, then fine. If you don't want to, then I will. Lu Chen opened the triple door and instantly teleported into the middle of the mutant army. Facing an army of 700,000, Lu Chen actually rushed in alone? Jinyan's mouth was wide open. Even if she saw it with her own eyes, she still felt that it shouldn't be like this. Earth Fiend Xianming Spear, Dark Sky Earth Fiend. An angry roar came from the crowd, followed by a loud bang. The ground in a radius of a few thousand meters cracked, and a turbulent black gas rushed out from the ground. An area of effect skill instantly killed tens of thousands of mutant soldiers. 9-star acupuncture. Cloud-piercing spear. 100-mile dark crow. Within the enemy ranks, the white figure was like a ghost, crazily shuttling through the enemy ranks. Wherever he went, a large number of mutants died. Under Lu Chen's fierce attack, no one could get close to him. Spear chi crisscrossed, and the sky darkened. Thousands of miles of yellow sand filled the air, and the white figure flashed. Sabers and swords flashed, and deafening roars filled the air. The thick smell of blood filled the entire battlefield. Lu Chen seemed to have entered a realm where no one could stop him. Whether it was ordinary soldiers or generals, in front of Lu Chen's spear, there was only one result. My God! This person is really a heavenly soldier. Jin Yan's eyes widened. There's actually such a man in the world. The surrounding soldiers could not take their eyes off this crazy killing feast. They were already dumbfounded. What realm is he in? Immortal Martial? No, even Immortal Martial can't be so strong. Could he be a God Martial realm super expert? Hiss, I know him. He's the son-in-law of the Tian family. I heard from Chief Tian that he once defeated Chief Tian, who was a martial warrior realm level 4, when he was a martial warrior realm level 3. What? A martial warrior without a spirit core? How can he defeat a martial warrior? I didn't believe it at first, but after seeing Lu Chen's style today, I know there's such a strong person in the world. Jin Yan took a deep breath and said faintly, spear like a dragon, one spear cut down thousands of soldiers and horses. White clothes stained with blood. One person against 1,000,000 soldiers. Could it be that when a man starts cultivating, there's nothing for women to do? Chapter 1387. The mutants had never imagined that Lu Chen alone would be so terrifying. Otherwise, they would not have chosen to besiege Lu Chen. Instead, they would have pulled apart their front lines, attacking the city while avoiding the brunt of the attack. It was just that the mutants' army had been attracted to the city gate by the retreating defenders. Lu Chen's speed was too fast, and his killing speed was even faster. They had no time to change their tactics, and were already defeated like a landslide. This was a massacre of 700,000 mutants by one person. Lu Chen prioritized killing the enemy's generals, making it harder for the mutants to reorganize their formation and attack the city in a short time. The enemy's Immortal Martial Realm and God Martial Realm experts were no match for Lu Chen's spear, not to mention the martial artists and martial masters. In less than 3 hours of fighting, the battlefield was already filled with corpses, and the yellow sand was dyed red with blood. Originally, the mutants were determined to win, but they were forced to retreat by Lu Chen alone. Lu Chen was not in a hurry to chase after the mutants fled. He had previously said that none of the 700,000 mutants would be able to escape, but at this moment, Lu Chen was still hesitating. At this moment, the city's defenses were empty. If he rashly pursued and the enemy took advantage of the situation, it would be troublesome. In short, there would be plenty of time in the future, so there was no need to rush. Even if Lu Chen did not pursue, the number of mutants who died in the west side of the city was still in the hundreds of thousands. Such a battle record was enough to shake the government. Seeing the mutants' miserable defeat, the soldiers on the city walls raised their arms and cheered. Everyone was shouting Lu Chen's name. God of War Lu Chen! God of War Lu Chen! God of War Lu Chen! Lu Chen's heart did not waver. This name was not unfamiliar to him. When he was on Earth, the players were used to calling him Wuxia's God of War, or simply God of War. Jin Yan personally opened the city gates to welcome Lu Chen's triumphant return. How are my eldest sister and second sister? When Lu Chen saw Jin Yan, the first thing he asked was about Tian Ying's situation. Tian Ying and Tian Xiang are both being treated by doctors. Tian Ying still needs some time to recover, but Tian Xiang, even if she wakes up, her spirit core is severely damaged. I'm afraid she won't be able to cultivate in the future. Jin Yan's expression was sorrowful. In order to save her, one of the 3 Tian sisters died, one was injured, and the last one's fate was unknown. Lu Chen said coldly. Now that the city's defenses are weak, If I chase after you and the enemy attacks the city with all their might, you might not be able to stop them. West General, get someone to clean up the battlefield first. I'll go check on my 2 sisters. Currently, there were only 30,000 soldiers left in the West City, and the number of corpses on the battlefield was more than that. After a full day and night of cleaning, the guards finally cleared the corpses in front of the city gate. On this day, Luqian was visiting Tianxiang. After 2 days of emergency treatment, Tianxiang finally showed signs of improvement. At this moment, a female soldier came into the tent. Mr. Liu, the West General invites you in. Okay, I'll go right away. After saying this, Luqian stood up and headed to the West General's tent. When the female soldier reported, she didn't forget to sneak a glance at Luqian. This was the #1 war god of sacred martial arts. Indeed, he was different from other men. He had a calm demeanor, swift and decisive, and had the air of a king. The West General was also heavily injured, but she didn't have time to rest at this time. She had to take charge of all matters in the city. When Luqian came in, she was checking some accounts. When she saw Luqian, Jin Yan stood up and walked over. Mr. Luqian, you're here? Luqian cupped his fists and said, General, why did you call Luqian here? Oh, it's nothing important, Jin Yan said. After checking, we killed a total of 540,000 people in the Battle of the West City. According to military regulations, those who kill will be rewarded with spirit cores. A total of 540,000 spirit cores have been sent to Officer Tian's jurisdiction. Luqian frowned and said, the other soldiers should have also been killed. Jin Yan said with some embarrassment, out of the 80,000 soldiers who went out to defend the city, there are only about 10,000 left. We were outnumbered, and many of us didn't kill the enemy. At most, we only injured them. I estimate that the total number of people we killed is probably only about 10,000. Luqian thought for a moment and said, how about this? Give me 400,000 spirit cores, and divide the rest among the soldiers who pledged their lives to protect the city. This. Jin Yan's eyes widened as she looked at Luqian in surprise. It must be known that Luqian gave out more than 100,000 spirit cores the moment he opened his mouth. Many people wouldn't be able to earn so many spirit cores in their lifetime. Mr. I thank Mr. on behalf of these soldiers. Luqian nodded. This is what they deserve. However, Luqian thought for a moment and said, General, I have another matter that I need your help with. Oh, what is it? As long as it is within the scope of my duties, I will do my best. Luqian faintly smiled. It's not a big matter. The military supplies department has storage rings for sale, but the storage rings that ordinary soldiers exchange for are too small. If General can help me exchange for a top-grade storage ring, I am willing to buy it for 400,000 spirit cores. Jin Yan couldn't help but laugh. It's just a storage ring. How could it cost 400,000 spirit cores? Mr. doesn't need to worry about it. I will help Mr. exchange for one. Luqian stammered, one isn't enough. I may need to buy a few more. Jin Yan frowned. Buy a few more? The highest grade storage ring space isn't small. In terms of spirit cores, it can hold 100,000. Luqian was a bit embarrassed. Normally, a single storage ring was enough for most people. Jin Yan was suspicious, but when she saw that Luqian seemed to have something he couldn't say, she skipped over the reason and straightforwardly said, I was too presumptuous. There is no harm in buying a few more storage rings. It's just a few storage rings. There is no need for Mr. Spirit cores. Mister, how many do you need? Just tell me. This kind of small amount of money is nothing for a West City general like me. And since General says so, I am relieved. I need 1,000. Jin Yan's wound almost split open. 1,000. Mister, with so many storage rings, you wouldn't be able to carry all of them with your 2 hands and 2 feet. Luqian's face darkened. Did this woman think he was some nouveau riche who wanted to wear storage rings all over his body? Well, you can actually put the storage rings in one of the storage rings. Jin Yan was a bit embarrassed. She could only blame herself for thinking that storage rings were used to save space. Naturally, she would carry them on her body. She had forgotten that there was such a method. At this moment, Jean Yan's heroic spirit had completely vanished. She said in a daze, "But, mister, what do you want to put in so many storage rings?" "Spirit cores," Lu Chen directly said. Spirit cores? Jean Yan calculated in her mind. One storage ring was 100,000 spirit cores. 1,000 spirit cores meant 100 million spirit cores. Lu Chen wanted to store 100 million spirit cores? What was this guy trying to do? Besides, if he wanted to get 100 million spirit cores, was he really going to wipe out the mutated humans? However, as the West City General, she had to fulfill her promise no matter how difficult it was. Jean Yan said awkwardly, "Although my military rank is enough, I need to buy 1,000 top-grade storage rings. Recently, I have been a bit tight on money." Lu Chen smiled. "General, have the team delivering the spirit cores come back." Jean Yan sighed in relief and immediately said, "Then I will have them come back." Chapter 1388. 1,000 storage rings were finally in his hands. Lu Chen tidied up the storage rings and found that they fit perfectly on his nameless finger. "Thank you, General." Jean Yan also let out a sigh of relief. She had learned her lesson this time. In the future, whenever Lu Chen asked for a favor, it would be best to ask him first so that she wouldn't be embarrassed. "That's right, sir. The Grand Marshal's reinforcements will arrive tomorrow. She will definitely meet you and even arrange a position for you." Lu Chen frowned slightly. He had also thought of this possibility. However, he wasn't here to be a general. It would be best if he didn't meet her. "General, Lu Chen isn't interested in fame. To be honest, I might leave the army camp." "Leave the army camp?" Jean Yan's first thought was that he should be punished by military law for leaving his post without permission. But when she looked at the person in front of her, she decided to dispel this thought. "Sir is leaving? Where are you going?" Lu Chen nodded. "To the variant human tribe's territory." Going to the variant human tribe's territory alone. Jean Yan's mind buzzed. Wasn't this suicide? "Sir, have you thought it through?" "I have," Lu Chen said. "So, I'll say goodbye to you while I'm at it. Please take good care of my two sisters." Lu Chen's sister was also in Tianying's camp. As long as Tianying was fine, Lu Chen's sister would be fine. Jean Yan looked at Lu Chen's resolute gaze and sighed. "Sir is not an ordinary person. You have great ambitions. Jean Yan knows that I can't change your mind, but please take good care of yourself." Lu Chen smiled. "Thank you, General." After leaving Jean Yan's tent, Lu Chen didn't return to Tianying's territory. Instead, he directly jumped off the city wall. When the soldiers on the city wall saw the white figure, they all surrounded the city wall. "It's Lu Chen. My Prince Charming. Where is he going? He's so graceful even when he walks, so charming. If I can marry such a man, I can die without regrets." "Stop dreaming. Lu Chen, do you think she would like you?" Lu Chen didn't hear it either. If he did, he would probably vomit 3 liters of blood. A day later, the great commander of the Sacred Martial Academy led an army of 600,000 and arrived at the West City. A tall woman broke into Jean Yan's tent. When Jean Yan saw who it was, she hurriedly stood up and cupped her fists. "Commander! I Jean Yan, oh Jean Yan! You, how could you?" The commander-in-chief was flustered and exasperated. "How could you let Lu Chen go? Why didn't you stop him?" It seemed that the commander-in-chief had also heard about Lu Chen. That was why he didn't care about anything else and hurriedly came to find Jean Yan. Jean Yan lowered her head and said, "My lord, I also want to stop him, but who can stop him?" The commander-in-chief thought about it and felt that it made sense. 700,000 soldiers had been utterly defeated by him and were almost completely wiped out. If Lu Chen wanted to leave, who could stop him? The commander-in-chief sighed bitterly. "This kind of talent, as long as we can keep him, we will definitely win the war against the Inhumans. Even if I give up the commander-in-chief position to him, it won't be a problem. Jean Yan, tell me honestly, can we still get him back?" "We can't get him back." "Why?" "He went to the Inhumans' territory." Jean Yan's eyes stared blankly ahead. There was no intersection. She said faintly, Perhaps, he is going to end this war that has lasted for 1,000 years. Luchen was now 23 years old. His current cultivation level had reached the peak of this world, the Sky Martial realm. This was equivalent to the Jiotian Human King realm. This time, with the help of the Spirit Gathering cultivation room, he only used 6 years. But this speed was clearly not fast enough. He had only completed 1 round of Human King realm cultivation when he was 23 years old. At this speed, it would be impossible for him to complete 100 rounds of Human King realm before he was 100 years old. Thus, Luchen had to increase his cultivation speed. Luchen had already made up his mind. Before he dispersed his cultivation, he would first collect some inhuman spirit cores to help him cultivate faster. When they learned that Luchen had left the human army, the Inhumans were happy for a while. But soon their eastern defensive line was breached. According to the battle report, there was only one person in the attacking army. He was dressed in white robes. Luchen had come. When defending the city, Luchen still had to take care of the city behind him. But attacking the city was completely different. Luchen could finally let go of his hands and feet and start a massacre. But after Luchen breached the city, he stood on the city wall and looked at the unarmed Inhumans. When he wanted to massacre the city, he couldn't do it in the end. Those Inhumans had strange appearances. Although they walked upright with hands and feet, their faces were like that of wild beasts. But Luchen had seen all races. After seeing these Inhumans, he didn't attack the Inhumans. In the blink of an eye, 8 months passed. On this day, Luchen was camping in the grassland in front of a large city. Each person had a bonfire. This was the campsite. Luchen sat in front of the fire. He could see a large number of guards on the city wall looking at him nervously. They knew who this person was. They also knew their fate. In their eyes, there was fear and despair. Luchen only glanced at those people and then looked away. He lowered his head and added firewood. After half a year of killing, Luchen's mood became more and more complicated. He remembered the legend of the origin of the Inhumans and the human race. Whether it was the human race or the Inhumans, they were all created from a piece of dirt by goddess Nuwa. Originally, the Inhumans were strong and wanted to destroy the human race. But now, none of them could stop Luchen. Instead, they were the ones to be destroyed. Looking at the dancing flames, Luchen sighed. At this moment, a lone Inhuman walked to Luchen's side. Luchen was surprised. Someone actually dared to come to him alone? This Inhuman didn't seem to be young. He was a man. After he came, he didn't wait for Luchen to say anything and directly sat beside the fire. I heard that you don't kill civilians? The old man raised his head and looked at Luchen. But did you know? Every time you break through a defensive line, you don't kill. But when the human army follows you into the city, they burn, kill, and rob. Luchen didn't say anything. He didn't do anything to the old man. In the past 8 months, you've killed 14 million Inhuman soldiers. Because of your arrival, many newbies who had just reached the level of martial warrior were forced to defend the city. The old man threw some firewood into the bonfire and spoke in a calm tone of voice as he recounted the shocking news. Luchen took a deep breath and raised his head. When you were strong, didn't you also want to swallow the human race? The old man smiled. In Luchen's eyes, his smile was a little ferocious, but his eyes were clear. Yes, when the two races fight, it's either you die or I die. Back then we were strong and killed many humans. Now that a heaven-defying person like you has appeared in the human race, the situation has been reversed. We Inhumans are powerless to fight back. This is karma. I have no right to criticize you. The old man continued. I heard that when your family was killed, you swore to destroy the entire Inhuman race. But in my opinion, you are actually a person who doesn't keep his word. Luchen frowned and looked at the old man. His eyes seemed to be filled with killing intent. The old man was not afraid at all. He said, What? Am I wrong? You should know that if you let the people go, you can't destroy the entire race. Chapter 1389. The old man kept staring at Luchen's expression, and saw that Luchen did not refute him. Luchen, since the guards in this city can't stop you anyway, why don't we attack in a few days? I'll take you to the mutant lands to have a look, the old man suddenly said. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. This guy actually wanted to let him enter the mutant lands? His guts were extraordinarily big. However, if Lu Chen really wanted to break through the defense line and enter the mutant lands, he would have done so long ago. Perhaps that was why the old man had invited him. Lu Chen pondered for a moment, then stood up and stepped on the fire to extinguish it. Lead the way. After passing through the city gate, countless guards looked at Lu Chen nervously, but Lu Chen ignored them and followed the old man into the mutant city. The old man prepared a carriage, and the two of them left the mutant city directly. For the next half a month, the old man took Lu Chen all the way to the mutant lands. Their world was completely different from the human world. It could be said that it was barren with swamps and jungles everywhere, and wild beasts ran rampant. Outside a village, 4 or 5 huge beasts were attacking a village, and hundreds of mutant women were resisting desperately. At the edge of a swamp, a group of mutants was trying to fill the swamp and use it for farming. Suddenly, a few huge tentacles sprang out of the swamp and swept 4 or 5 people directly into the swamp, leaving nothing behind. There were no large cities in the mutant lands, and the largest cities were probably the border areas. After more than 20 days, Lu Chen saw a different Wuxia continent. Why are there so many powerful beasts here? Lu Chen asked. The old man said, the Wuxia continent is full of spirit energy, and the evolution of wild beasts is very common. But why are there only wild beasts in the mutant lands? Lu Chen was somewhat puzzled. The old man smiled slightly. You've heard of the legend of the origin of mutants and humans, right? Speaking of which, humans and mutants should be considered one. In fact, 2,800 years ago, humans and mutants were both struggling to survive the attacks of wild beasts. In order to not be devoured by the powerful wild beasts, both sides once joined forces to fight against the wild beasts. After the joint efforts of the two clans, we finally eradicated the wild beasts in the central region of the Wuxia continent and drove them to the wilderness. But after that, the two clans had a disagreement because of the division of territories and finally went their separate ways. The humans won the ancient race war, and they chased us to the wildlands as well. Over the past 2,000 years, we've been fighting the beasts and the heavens and earth. Our bodies have been constantly strengthening, and our cultivation base has also been increasing. We could have reclaimed our territory, but unfortunately, a god of war appeared in the human race. He single-handedly wiped out our 1,000 years of hard work. As he spoke, the old man looked at Lu Chen. Obviously, the god of war he spoke of was Lu Chen. Lu Chen had never heard of such a history between the two races. Lu Chen, if you kill all the defenders, the human army will follow closely behind and break into the city. My mutant race won't be able to hold on for much longer. It's a pity that the lives of these people are already difficult, but they still can't escape being exterminated. Lu Chen furrowed his brows, feeling a little upset. When soldiers fought, sometimes they didn't need to know why they were fighting. Obeying was a soldier's duty. However, when he saw the mutants here and understood the origin of the two races, Lu Chen finally understood that the struggle between the two races was nothing more than survival. Since it was for survival, there was no right or wrong. After a long silence, Lu Chen sighed. Old man, who are you? To have the courage to meet Lu Chen alone and bring Lu Chen to inspect the situation of the people, this old man was definitely not simple. Father of the mutant race, strange stone. Lu Chen was not surprised. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? Ha ha ha, the mutant race is about to be exterminated. What's the difference between killing and not killing? For us mutants, peace is the only way out. As the father of the nation, it's only right that I die for the people. Lu Chen sighed. I'm just a commoner. I can't make decisions for the human race. No, we're not talking peace with the human race. We're talking to you. Strange Stone said. As long as you're willing to stop, we can consider what to do next. It was unheard of for a nation to talk peace with a human. Lu Chen looked at the dark sky in front of him. Swamps were everywhere, and miasma filled the air. Lu Chen shook his head. If it were the human race, it would be difficult for them to survive in this place. Lu Chen, I, on behalf of the mutant race, beg you to let us live. Strange Stone's voice finally sounded emotional. Lu Chen looked at Strange Stone and kept silent for a long time. Suddenly he laughed self-mockingly. Ah, Strange Stone, you're right. You're indeed a man who doesn't keep his words. Strange Stone's brain turned quickly. He quickly understood Lu Chen's meaning. Strange Stone knelt down heavily in front of Lu Chen. His voice trembled. Even if you don't keep your words, it's for the sake of the common people. Lu Chen hurriedly helped Strange Stone up. You risked your life to see me for the common people. Lu Chen has admired you for a long time. I can't accept Strange Stone's kneeling. Perhaps the mutant race and the human race didn't know that in the mutant world, on a small road beside a desolate swamp, someone had already decided the fate of the two races. Lu Chen stopped. Soon, the mutant race sent an envoy to the human race to talk peace. As the defeated party, the mutant race retreated 200 li, giving up a large area for cultivation. Moreover, the mutant race had to offer a large amount of beast nuclei and food to the Saint Hall every year. They had to move into a more desolate and dangerous area to live. The two nations finally signed the armistice agreement. The human race was celebrating. However, the Tian family found that Lu Chen hadn't returned. A few days later, a group of mutant messengers sent a letter. The letter was written by Lu Chen. In the letter, he only said one thing. He was going to stay in the mutant world and wouldn't return. Sir Tian, here are 170,000 beast nuclei. Sir War God asked us to send them over. The messenger opened a few large boxes. Sir War God said that 100,000 beast nuclei would be given to the Tian family and 70,000 beast nuclei would be given to the Lu family. He also asked the Tian family to take good care of his parents and sister. Tianing looked at the beast nuclei in shock. Finally, he sighed with regret. Chener. In front of an endless swamp, thousands of mutants anxiously looked ahead. A white figure flashed past. In the largest swamp, 7 or 8 huge tentacles suddenly appeared. Lu Chen shouted and shot a spear chi into the depths of the swamp. A deafening wail sounded. Not long after, a green liquid emerged from the swamp, dyeing the swamp dark green. The 7 or 8 tentacles drooped down weakly. Lu Chen grabbed a tentacle, dragged the monster out of the swamp, and took the beast nuclei with a spear. Then Lu Chen turned around and said to the mutants behind him, "This place has been cleaned up. This big mudfish tastes good. It's enough for you to eat for a while. After you transform this place, you can farm here in the future." Thank you, white-clothed war god. Everyone was about to thank him. When they looked up, they found that Lu Chen had disappeared. In the endless mountains, the spirit energy was abundant. Wild beasts ran rampant around, and no one dared to go deep. Lu Chen walked into a cave by the stream. After entering the cave, Lu Chen used a rope to pull a boulder to block the entrance. With Lu Chen's strength, it was reasonable to say that he didn't need to be so cautious. The reason why he blocked the entrance today was that today would be his first time decomposing the spirit nuclei. Chapter 1390. This is already the place with the most abundant spiritual energy I can find. It's more than 10 times better than the military's cultivation room. Lu Chen suddenly missed rhubarb. If it was here, maybe he could find a spiritual source or something. I wonder if that guy woke up. Recalling rhubarb's sleeping posture, Lu Chen wasn't sure if that guy would wake up. Could it be that that guy was also experiencing reincarnation? Recalling the changes in the 9 Revolutions Golden Crow mirror, Lu Chen felt that this was a possibility. However, Lu Chen was still trapped in the mirror world, so he had to think of a way to get out first. To complete the 100 revolutions of the human king, I have to decompose the spirit core and disperse the spiritual energy in my body to return to the state of an ordinary person. It seems that it's very difficult for ordinary people to disperse their own cultivation. If they don't know how to reverse the flow of spiritual energy, they won't be able to complete the process. Fortunately, Lu Chen's spiritual energy had reached the level of spiritual energy manipulation, so he could completely reverse the flow of spiritual energy. Lu Chen checked his storage ring again. Currently, 150 storage rings were filled with spirit cores, totaling 15 million spirit cores and beast cores. There were beast cores from the mutated humans and beast cores, but he didn't know if there were enough. In the armistice agreement, the humans had asked for beast cores from the mutated humans. Lucian had already inquired about this. Both humans and mutated humans could absorb beast cores, but the absorption rate was relatively low, so it was better to directly absorb beast cores from the mutated humans or humans. Perhaps the legends about the origins of humans and mutated humans were only legends after all. What really determined this was the special laws of this world. There was no time to think so much now. Lucian entered a state of cultivation, but he wasn't increasing his spiritual energy. Instead, he was forcing the spiritual energy out of his body. A month later, Lucian completed the process of dispersing his cultivation. At this time, his physical strength was only equivalent to that of an ordinary person, not even a martial warrior. I've become an ordinary person again. Lucian shook his head with a smile. Currently, Lucian was at his weakest. At this time, if any beast discovered this cave and moved the boulder away, Lucian wouldn't be able to resist at all. Lucian didn't have time to rest. He hurriedly started cultivating again. 1-star martial artist, 2-star martial artist. Lucian spent 1.5 months to break through to 1-star martial artist. This speed was many times faster than ordinary people, but to Lucian it was too slow. After obtaining the spirit nucleus, Lucian immediately began to take out the spirit nucleus of the mutants. He started to fuse the spirit nucleus from weak to strong. 1 core, 10 cores, 100 cores. Most people could only absorb 30% to 40% of the cores, but Lucian could absorb about 80% of the cores. However, every time he absorbed a spirit core, Lucian would need to cultivate for a period of time to digest the spirit core. The higher the grade of the spirit core, the longer it would take to digest it. Lucian's level was like an airplane, rising crazily. Martial artist, martial master, martial general. Half a year later, Lucian had reached the divine martial realm. Now Lucian's highest spirit core was only at the divine martial realm. To break through to the sky martial realm, Lucian had to rely on himself to cultivate. Lucian entered the Anatta and Spirit Chi microscopic state, and used the Divine Devil Origin Sutra to absorb Spirit Chi. 2 years later, he broke through to the Sky Martial Realm. Another 2 years and 3 months later, he reached the peak of the Sky Martial Realm. After returning to the peak of the Sky Martial Realm, Lucian calculated the time. This time, Lucian used about 5 years to cultivate again. No, this speed is too slow. Lucian frowned. It's too difficult to complete the 100 revolutions Human King in 100 years. However, Lucian didn't have any other choice. I didn't have any experience the first time. Let's see if I can be faster next time. Also, after reaching the martial artist realm, use more spirit cores. After saying that, Lucian began to disperse his cultivation for the second time. This time, Lucian used half the time as compared to before. He completed it in 20 days. The time taken to go from martial artist to martial artist was slightly reduced, and he completed it in a month. And after reaching the Sky Martial Realm, Lucian merged with more spirit cores and broke through to the God Martial Realm in 4 months. The most important thing was that Lucian took 4 years and 3 months to go from the God Martial Realm to the peak of the Sky Martial Realm, which took up a lot of time. But this time, Lucian merged with a large number of spirit cores and beast cores and reached the peak of the Sky Martial Realm in 3 years. After returning to the peak of the Human King realm, Lucian felt slightly more relaxed. This time, it only took 3.5 years, which is 1.5 years faster than the first time. It's just that the consumption of spirit cores is a bit high. I use 3 million spirit cores. I have to go out and find some more beast cores to replace them. And find some food while I'm at it. Half a year later, Lucian replenished a large number of beast cores. The level of the wild beasts here was very high. The total amount of spirit chi they contained was more than all the spirit cores in Lucian's hands combined. The absorption rate of the beast cores is 50%. If I can absorb 100%, my cultivation speed will be even faster. In the process of absorbing the beast cores, Lucian discovered that as long as he could quickly circulate his spirit chi and synchronize it with the spirit chi in the beast cores, he could achieve twice the result with half the effort. This time, Lucian planned to spend more effort on increasing the efficiency of the beast cores. Lu Chen used only 15 days to disperse his cultivation for the third time. From martial warrior to martial warrior, it took 23 days. From martial warrior to divine martial realm, it took 3 months. Most importantly, when Lu Chen reached the peak of the sky martial realm from the divine martial realm, he focused 120% when absorbing each beast core, increasing the overall absorption rate to 60%. Furthermore, this time Lu Chen did not seek to conserve spirit cores at all. He only sought speed. He merged with the spirit cores crazily and reached the peak of the human king realm in 2 years. Haha. 2 years and 4 months. Another year passed. However, the consumption of beast cores is too fast. This time, I have to hunt more wild beasts, especially high-grade wild beasts. Half a year later, Lu Chen returned from hunting and dispersed his cultivation again. Lu Chen only used 2 years to reach the peak of the human king realm in 4th transformation. 5th transformation, 1 year and 7 months. 6th transformation, 1 year and 3 months. 7th transformation, 1 year and 2 months. Including the hunting time, it still takes less than 2 years to cultivate once. Lu Chen's brows furrowed. Speaking of which, Lu Chen had dispersed his cultivation time and time again, releasing a huge amount of spirit chi that had filled the 1,000-mile mountain range. Unknowingly, the spirit chi density here had increased by a lot. Even the surrounding wild beasts had migrated here, including some powerful wild beasts. This allowed Lu Chen to not have to worry about finding wild beasts. There's no need to worry about the beast cores. I'm hunting according to Little Green's sustainable development strategy. I still need to increase the efficiency of the beast cores. Now I can merge 80% of the beast core's spirit chi. If I can increase it by another 10%, it should take less than a year. Time passed by as Lu Chen cultivated, dispersed his cultivation, and dispersed his cultivation. After improving his cultivation method time and time again, Lu Chen only took a year to reach the 9th transformation. However, Lu Chen not only used more beast cores to reach the 10th transformation, but it also took him 2 years to complete it. After completing the 10th transformation, Lu Chen hurriedly checked his spirit core. His spirit core's spirit chi was purer and more concentrated than when he was at the 9th transformation, at least twice as much. Moreover, his physical body seemed to be different from when he was at the peak of the human king realm. According to the attributes, my 10th transformation physical body should be more than 3 times stronger than before. Lu Chen frowned. What was going on? Could it be that I really need to reach the human king realm to break through to the human king realm? Lu Chen's eyes widened. When he cultivated to the 10th transformation, he finally saw hope. Chapter 1391. Lu Chen began to focus on hunting level 9 wild beasts. The beast cores of these wild beasts were worth hundreds of thousands of low-level beast cores. Most importantly, he could save hunting time this way. There are still 58 years to complete the 90 revolutions. Lu Chen felt terrified just thinking about it. Just as Lu Chen was racing against time, the Wuxia continent was also undergoing earth-shaking changes. For some reason, the number of wild beasts in the wilderness had decreased sharply. Although the variant human race had been forced to live at the border, due to Lu Chen's crazy hunting of wild beasts, they discovered that the wilderness was becoming more and more suitable for their survival. The only problem was that the annual tribute of beast cores could no longer be guaranteed. After negotiating with the human race, the variant human race explained the reason and requested to change the payment of beast cores to food and other supplies. The human race had no choice but to be wary of Lu Chen's existence. Moreover, the two races had not been at war for decades, so the need for martial artists was not as urgent as before. In the end, after several twists and turns, they reluctantly agreed to the variant human race's request. On the other hand, due to Lu Chen's male identity, the status of the human race and the variant human race's men suddenly increased greatly. Men's cultivation had become the norm. After the men obtained the opportunity to cultivate, their status rose further with the appearance of experts. The worldview of women being superior to men was quietly changing. Unfortunately, Lu Chen did not know any of this. His mind was now filled with cultivation. Now Lu Chen could already increase the utilization rate of beast cores to more than 95%. Repeated cultivation made it easier for him to cultivate spiritual power. The spiritual power provided by a large number of high-level beast cores also helped him save a lot of time. In addition, as the number of times he dissipated his cultivation increased, the abundance of spiritual power in the cave became more and more terrifying. Now Lu Chen's cultivation time from an ordinary person to the peak of the sky martial arts realm was controlled at 7 months. Plus a month of hunting, the first job transition time was about 8 months. And every 10 cultivation time was about half a year more than the normal cultivation time. If others knew that he had reached the peak of the sky martial arts realm in 8 months, they would probably not believe it. However, Lu Chen's time was still increasing by a small margin. The reason why it could only increase by a small margin was that Lu Chen's current cultivation speed and time arrangement were already close to the limit. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, there was only 1.5 years left before Lu Chen's 100-year limit in this life. As for Lu Chen, he had already completed 99 revolutions of Human King. At this moment, his spiritual power reserves and physical strength were more than 100 times that of an ordinary human king. A month later, Lu Chen finished his last hunt. He stored up the beast cores, dispersed his cultivation, and resumed his cultivation. Lu Chen didn't know how long the 100th transfer would take. He didn't dare to be careless and cultivated madly. 1 year and 4 months later, Lu Chen finally completed 100 cycles of peak sovereign personage in one lifetime. After completing the 100th revolution, Lu Chen's spirit core was twice as large as before. The spiritual energy was extremely dense, and under the ultra-high compression, it actually formed a liquid substance. Lu Chen was shocked. He was able to manipulate spiritual energy, but that didn't mean that spiritual energy was real. But at this moment, what was flowing in his spirit core was liquid spiritual energy. With every bit of liquid spiritual energy that flowed through his blood vessels, Lu Chen could feel the incomparably powerful spiritual energy. His entire body, every inch of skin, blood vessels, internal organs, and bones were being nourished by this brand new spiritual energy. This is retempering the body. Lu Chen's eyes widened. Tempering the body was something that only happened when breaking through a major realm. After the fine impurities in his body were forced out, Lu Chen only felt refreshed. His body had never felt so comfortable before. With every movement, it was as if this body had inexhaustible strength. Even his height had grown a little taller. And Lu Chen looked at his spirit core again. At this moment, there were rune-like patterns on his spirit core. Traces of liquid spiritual energy flowed along these runes. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at the huge rock blocking the exit, and directly struck out with his palm. In an instant, among the thousands of miles of mountains, an overbearing spiritual energy beam directly crushed the huge rock into powder and shot out. The mountain in front of him was directly penetrated by the spiritual energy, leaving only a palm print that stretched for thousands of miles. Lu Chen's eyes widened. Looking at the straight passage that he had created with his own hands, he was shocked. I have broken through to the human sovereign realm? At this moment, Lu Chen's mind buzzed, followed by a deep and solemn voice. After 100 reincarnations, you have finally become the supreme human sovereign. With a mortal body, you can break through the 6 paths of reincarnation. Lu Chen hurriedly asked, "Who are you?" "I am the remnant soul of the primitive deity. The 6 paths of illusory realm is the product of the 6 paths. I obtained it by chance." Lu Chen's mind turned rapidly. The 6 paths of illusory realm? You mean the 10,000 spirits ancient realm? This is what the 10,000 spirits clan said. When I died, I did leave the 6 paths of illusory realm to the 10,000 spirits clan. The 10,000 spirits clan does not like fighting and focuses on martial arts. They are the most suitable candidates. Lu Chen, I have waited here for 50,000 years, and no one has been able to break through the mirror realm. You said 50,000 years. Lu Chen was shocked. When he was in the Jiutian, the most he had heard was what happened thousands of years ago. But this primitive deity had said 50,000 years. What was the world like 50,000 years ago? At that time, There was already someone who could control the incredible space of the 6 paths of illusory realm? Yes, 50,000 years. I had already given up hope. 100 reincarnations is ever-changing. In 100 reincarnations, there are even some that cannot be cultivated at all. Therefore, even if a celestial prime comes, it is impossible to reach the human sovereign realm every time. The only way is to complete a few rounds of cultivation in a certain lifetime and become a human sovereign. However, the celestials would never think that there are levels above the human sovereign realm. Only you have thought of this. And you achieved 100 rounds of the human sovereign realm in a lifetime. It seems that I was right to choose you back then. Lu Chen took a deep breath. Good heavens, he had encountered the mirror realm from the beginning. It was not that he was unlucky, but that he had been secretly arranged by someone. Big brother, it's fine if you don't tell me anything else. Next time, when you have chosen someone, can you please inform me? Lu Chen said helplessly. Ha ha ha, Lu Chen, if I had informed you, how could you have comprehended the perfect spear intent here? How could you have experienced the human world? How could you have endured hardships for 3 lifetimes? How could you have seen the light at the end of the tunnel? Boy, those who have great opportunities must have great perseverance and great wisdom. At this moment, Lu Chen really felt like he had seen the light at the end of the tunnel. He had finally broken through the mirror realm. In a good mood, Lu Chen asked, Senior, with all due respect, is this 6 paths of illusory realm really useful? Those immortals have already opened the immortal path. There should be no need to open the human sovereign realm. Lu Chen, do you know that there are stronger levels above immortal prime? Although I have not heard of it, there are already immortal prime existences in the Jiutian 7th heavenly layer. I think there must be stronger existences above immortal prime. That's right. The martial Tao is limitless. Immortals can only get rid of the 6 paths of reincarnation, but they have not climbed to the peak of the martial Tao. Since they have not reached the peak, why don't they need to improve their strength? Lu Chen was a little stunned. These words did make sense. Lu Chen, in your opinion, people in the 7th heavenly layer are already immortals. They are incomparably powerful. But in my opinion, immortal prime? They are just ants. Lu Chen took a deep breath. This guy was really arrogant. It was not easy to meet an expert who was not hostile to him. Lu Chen naturally had to seize the time to ask more questions. Gods and Buddhas, are you part of the Jiutian? Which heavenly layer are you in the Jiutian? Do you know about the celestial demons? Oh, and the 9th transformation of the 9 transformations of the celestial demons? Lu Chen, did you forget what I told you just now? Heaven's secrets cannot be revealed. Everything depends on you. Lu Chen sighed. If you don't know, just say it. There are so many oracles and heavenly masters, but they still reveal heaven's secrets every day. Then have their prophecies about you ever come true? Lu Chen was stunned for a moment. According to the divination of the oracles, and heavenly masters, he should have died countless times. But now he was still alive and kicking. The voice of the gods and Buddhas sounded again. Lu Chen, the war of the 10,000 races has ended. The human race has been defeated. The 10 immortal primes have died in battle. The human race's 10,000 realms are about to be invaded by the 10,000 races. Lu Chen suddenly froze and said in a trembling voice, This has already ended? No, this can't be true. That's right. You won't be able to catch up every time. But Lu Chen, if fate wills it, we may meet again. Let me give you a parting sentence. Fate can only control the weak. The rules are set for the weak. What is heaven defying? It is to subvert everything and control everything. If you are strong, go and change the fate of the human race. As soon as the gods and Buddhas finished speaking, Lu Chen felt dizzy. Chapter 1392. When Lu Chen opened his eyes, he was already standing in front of the ancient temple. Seeing the whirlpool-shaped entrance, Lu Chen could not help but have mixed feelings. Once again returning to the Jiutian, returning to reality, Lu Chen closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and slowly exhaled. From the youth who bore a blood feud in the Tianyuan continent, to the wolf king who sought survival alone in the unknown jungle, to an ordinary descendant of the Lu family in a world where women were superior to men. He had seen all kinds of people, experienced all kinds of things in the world, experienced life and death, and experienced love and hate. Now there was only one word to describe Lu Chen's current feelings. It felt like a lifetime ago. Lu Chen lowered his head and glanced at his badge. 1-star Barbarian Emperor variant. Lu Chen was prepared for the Barbarian Emperor, but when he saw the word variant, Lu Chen's fighting spirit, which had just been ignited, was instantly extinguished. What the hell was a variant? Speaking of which, regardless of whether anyone could do it or not, in theory, if an ordinary human king could complete 100 cycles in the 6 paths illusory realm, they could also break through to the human sovereign realm. But the problem was that Lu Chen was not an ordinary human king before. He was an 18-star human king. Perhaps this was where the variant came from. Lu Chen immediately thought of the long list of titles he had in the past. He thought he had gotten rid of them, but he did not expect that he still had more titles than others after reaching the human sovereign realm. At this moment, a figure suddenly shot toward Lu Chen. Immortal technique, extreme frost backstab. The temperature of the surrounding air plummeted, and the water vapor in the air directly condensed. If an ordinary person was affected by this extreme frost backstab, the extreme cold alone would be enough to freeze their blood. Even an immortal's mobility would be greatly reduced. A cold light had already shot toward the back of Lu Chen's neck. At this moment, Lu Chen turned around. As he turned around, he raised 2 fingers and clamped down on the blade of a dagger. Lu Chen looked coldly at the person who had ambushed him. "Take me out of here." Gu Ying's eyes widened. In the past few years, his power had increased greatly, and his ice attribute had doubled. The last time he fought with Lu Chen, he had used cold light backstab. This time, he had finally mastered the next level of extreme cold backstab. In the end, Lu Chen caught his attack with 2 fingers? What exactly did this guy go through? Was this really the mirror realm? But how did he get out? However, Gu Ying knew what Lu Chen was thinking at this moment. He also dismissed the idea of sparring with Lu Chen, or asking for more details. "Fortunately, I came over to take a look. Let's go and see the immortal sovereign first." After saying that, Gu Ying used the teleportation talisman and brought Lu Chen back to the Saint Martial Immortal's abode. Senior Immortal, Lone Kuang really came out. Gu Ying excitedly ran over to report. Not long after, Saint Martial Venerable quickly walked out of the cultivation room. "Did you really encounter the mirror realm?" Lu Chen nodded. Senior Immortal, what's the current situation of the human race? Lu Chen asked anxiously. Saint Martial Venerable sighed. The war of the myriad races ended a month ago. Even if the human race still has Pangu, whose strength is not bad, he alone can't resist the myriad race's immortal sovereigns. Now all the immortals in the human race's immortal realm are urgently evacuating. If the human race is destroyed, the immortal realm will bear the brunt. In the future, it will be divided by the myriad races. Occasionally, there will be some immortals left, but they will either be killed or enslaved. Therefore, in this case, most of the immortals will either go to some abandoned planets to live, or return to their own planets to help resist the myriad race's army. The number of people left in the immortal realm is less than 1 in 1,000. Now the coordinates of all the planets in the human race's territory have been exposed. The various races are preparing to destroy them one by one. They should start taking action in the next few days. Lu Chen clenched his fists. Sure enough, he was still 1 step too late. Saint Martial Venerable, I must go back. Lu Chen said, hurriedly turned around and was about to leave. Lu Chen, Saint Martial Venerable suddenly called out to him. Now that the overall situation has been determined, I'm afraid there is no way to reverse the situation. If you have nowhere to go, you can stay here. I can't put the myriad races in danger for the sake of the human race, but at least I can take you in. It can also be considered as an explanation to my deceased mother. Lu Chen looked back and said lightly, Thank you, Venerable, but I appreciate your kindness, but I can't leave my compatriots behind. Saint Martial Venerable sighed. Lu Chen's departure this time was very likely not to return. After pondering for a moment, Saint Martial Venerable took out a talisman paper that glowed with colorful light. Luchin, this is my myriad world voice transmitting talisman, which can pass through the myriad worlds. I hope you have a chance to use it. Guing, take the visiting order and send Luchin to the immortal realm of the human race. Luchin took the voice transmitting talisman and nodded heavily. Thank you, Venerable. If Luchin has a chance to return, I will definitely drink with Venerable. Guing said. When the time comes, call me. Brother Du Kuang, I will take you away. After teleporting to the border of the myriad races' immortal realm, Luchin directly summoned Ten-Winged, and the two headed straight for the immortal realm of the human race. On the dragon's back, Guing had many questions in his heart, but when he saw Luchin holding the dragon's horn and looking in the direction of the immortal realm of the human race, he felt that it was not appropriate to ask too many questions now. He admired Luchin very much, but what made him feel helpless was that he was sending Luchin to the bottomless abyss. It was very likely that this would be the last time they would be together, so those questions were no longer that important. Du Kuang, that Venerable also didn't expect you to stay in the myriad spirits' ancient realm for more than 5 years. Actually, Venerable also had his difficulties. If he was alone, he would have done it himself. Luchin turned to look at Guing, who seemed to be helping Venerable Saint Martial Venerable explain. Guing, I am already very grateful that Venerable allowed me to go to the myriad spirits' ancient realm. With his current status, he also has to take care of the myriad spirits' ancient realm, so I can understand. AI, you really don't want to consider staying in the myriad spirits' ancient realm? Don't blame me for being direct. I don't know if you opened the immortal path in the myriad spirits' ancient realm, but even if your strength is comparable to Venerable, what can you do alone? Now no one can save the human race. Luchin looked into the distance. Guing, that is my home. My compatriots, my family, that is what I must protect. Guing sighed as expected. He could not persuade Luchin. All right, Guing. Do you know where Little Beast and the rest are? Guing said. They should be waiting for you in your immortal spirit grotto heaven. Luchin nodded. These fellows had been training on the Divine Beast Island for 3 years. He wondered if they had made any progress. 2 days later, the two arrived at the human race's immortal domain. The mountains and rivers remained unchanged, but the human race's immortal domain had long been a facade. From time to time, they could see people from other races entering the human race's immortal domain as they wished. Now the human race's immortal domain no longer had a defensive array, allowing people to enter and exit. Guing, this is my voice transmission talisman. If I can help, I will not refuse. Guing also gave Luchin a voice transmission talisman. Luchin took the voice transmission talisman and looked at Guing. Even if they were not of the same race, a true friend who could lend a helping hand in times of crisis. Kid, Venerable, I, Huangting, and Lianhua have made an appointment with you. We will wait for your return, and next time, we will fight 300 rounds. Guing heavily slapped Luchen's shoulder. Luchen's voice was somewhat choked. All right. Chapter 1393. After reaching the human immortal domain, Guing returned to the 10,000 spirits immortal domain. Luchin used the teleportation talisman to return to the immortal spirit grotto heaven. Upon returning, Luchin discovered that there were hundreds of loose immortals, true immortals, and even Sengoku. They had built a simple residence outside the immortal spirit grotto heaven. Many of them were busy in the fields and herb gardens in front of the grotto heaven. They were not surprised to see Luchin. It was as if they were used to seeing him, and continued to do their own things. Seeing this scene, Luchin suspected that he had gone to the wrong place. Even if there were dozens of loose immortals in the herb garden, there shouldn't be so many people. Moreover, these true immortals and Sengoku were all working? At this moment, someone walked out of the heavenly abode. That person looked up and saw Luchin standing to the side. Chen'er. Guyan's eyes widened. He was stunned on the spot. He even forgot what he was supposed to do. You stinking brat, you're finally back. Uncle Guyan. Luchin quickly walked over. Who are these people? Guyan said. They came to seek refuge with us. It's a long story. Hurry up and go in. Everyone is waiting for you. Guyan pulled Luchin into the grotto heaven. Lu Chen knew all the people living in the grotto heaven. Li Shang, Jin Luan and Jiao Ling Long Yi Fan Mu Long Feng Wu Little Beast Fur Ball. Dean. Suddenly, a cry came from the farthest cultivation room. Lu Chen looked for the source of the sound and saw 3 figures running towards him. Chu Tian, Xiaozhan and Black Armor King? Black Armor King was in the front. He pounced over and his huge body almost knocked Lu Chen down. Senior brother Black Armor King, can you move aside? I don't even have a place to hug. Xiaozhan said with disdain. Lu Chen's head was full of questions. Chu Tian and Xiaozhan might have come here when he entered the 6 Paths illusory realm, but the question was, how did the mysterious Armor King come here? Could it be that he was still in the 6 Paths illusory realm? What's going on? Who can explain this to me? Lu Chen struggled to push away the Black Armor King who was hugging him. Chu Tian said, Dean. Oh no, Master, it's like this. Junior Martial Brother Xiaozhan and I transcended our tribulations 2 years ago. Senior Martial Brother Wang broke through a year after us, which is half a year ago. As soon as we came to the human immortal realm, we heard about the war of the 10,000 races. This matter concerns the survival of the entire human race. We wanted to find you and Junior Brother Yifan first, but we ended up here. Lu Chen nodded slightly. So that's how it is. Wait, Black Armor King. Why are you undergoing your tribulation? You're not Wuxian, Skyfall's cultivation is fast. Black Armor King chuckled, his small eyes revealing a confident light. Master, ever since I started managing the finances of the God and Devil Academy, I have been focusing on management. While earning wealth for the Academy, I have also earned a little. Then I have been buying and buying. After I had some treasures in my hands, I began to exchange with others. Elixirs, high-level cultivation methods, mental cultivation methods. I firmly believe that there are no treasures that can't be sold at the right price. Xiaozhan said. Master, Senior Martial Brother Wang is simply a business genius. He founded the Xianli Auction House and the Xianli Gambling House. In 3 years, he opened more than 700 continents. His personal wealth is already incalculable. Lu Chen was completely stunned. It could actually be like this. Yi Fan had been listening to this story attentively. He had already heard this story dozens of times, but each time he seemed to gain something new. Senior Martial Brother Wang, can you tell me in detail how you manage the finances? Why can't I save enough money? Mu Long was also listening very carefully. There was no harm in having one more skill. Black Armor King patted Yi Fan's shoulder. Yi Fan, let me think. If it's you, forget it, you'd better not touch money. Seeing so many people, Lu Chen's anxious mood eased a little. At least everyone was safe. However, when he thought of the invasion of the 10,000 races, Lu Chen's mood became nervous. By the way, how is your world now? I thought you all went back to your own world. Mu Long said, we can't go out now. Ah. What do you mean? Lu Chen asked curiously. Lu Chen, Pangu Immortal Sovereign left something for you. Come and take a look. Everyone came to the largest low-level cultivation room. Mu Long took out a shadow stone and injected spirit energy into it, projecting an image. The image showed the back of Pangu Immortal Sovereign. At the beginning, Pangu Immortal Sovereign turned around. Pangu Immortal Sovereign's appearance was nothing special. He was just younger than Lu Chen had imagined, only in his 20s. Lu Chen, I've pooled together the rewards of the Death God token. It seems that the assets are not enough. In the image, Pangu Immortal Sovereign spoke. However, if the spirit tablets are not enough, I can give you other rewards. I've transferred the teleportation array of Pangu's Grotto Heaven to your cave abode. This way, you can return to your own world. The 10,000 races are already on their way to the human race's immortal realm. I know that I can't stop their iron hooves, but someone has to resist. I have no use for the treasures in Pangu's Grotto Heaven, so I'll give them all to you. These should be enough to repay your reward. As Pangu spoke, he did not forget to mutter. Why do you have to fight so many battles? Outside your cave abode, I've set up a heavenly Dao defense array. This array can hide your cave abode. Moreover, it can only be entered and not exited, so it can't be destroyed from the outside. As for why I set up this heavenly Tao defense array, it's because your friends, mainly your son Little Beast, insisted on participating in the final battle for you. I thought about it, they haven't fully grown up yet. If they fall now, that would be the greatest loss. Besides, without a master, the battle strength of a battle pet is limited. For you, if they die in battle, your strength will be greatly reduced. That's why I trapped them. I know that if you can come back, you will definitely try to stop the 10,000 races, and even challenge the immortal realm of the 10,000 races. However, impulsiveness is not the solution to the problem. If you can break the heavenly Tao defense array one day, that means that you have the ability to challenge the immortal realm of the 10,000 races. By the way, there's one thing I haven't told you. Actually, I'm also from Earth. My real name is Liyuan. Although I don't have any relatives on Earth, it's still my hometown. Therefore, I beg you to protect Earth. That's our common mother. Protect our people. That's our common compatriot. Leaving hope to you, this is the last thing I can do. Times have changed. I've created legends, but that's all in the past. Now it's your turn. Lu Chen, if the 10,000 spirits ancient realm can't stop you, then tell the entire universe two things. Tell them how strong the human race is. Tell them that Earth will never be invaded. Pangu's image disappeared. It seemed that he was pressed for time. Lu Chen knew that he must have been preparing to participate in the immortal war of the 10,000 races. He knew that he would die in a decisive battle, but he went without hesitation. Chapter 1394. Lu Chen could not calm down for a long time. When he turned to look at Mulong, his eyes were already wet. Pangu the immortal has fallen? Mulong's heart was filled with sorrow. The reason why the War of the 10,000 Tribes is called the final battle is because every celestial highness has to face endless challenges. It's a battle that has no chance of winning. Pangu Celestial Venerable fought against 37 Celestial Venerables from the 4 races, and was eventually killed by Hongyu Celestial Venerable from the Mystic Spirit race. The Tiger King told me that on that day, the 9 immortal lords fell one after another, and only immortal Lord Pangu was left. Facing 100,000 immortal venerables, immortal venerable Pangu fought to the last moment. Lu Chen could already imagine the scene in his mind. The 100,000 immortal venerables shamelessly took turns to fight the human race. The human race was already at a disadvantage, so the immortal venerables of the foreign races took turns to kill the 10 immortal venerables of the human race. Lu Chen clenched his fists tightly. His voice was so low that it was somewhat terrifying. Pangu the immortal also came from Earth? I've never heard of him before, but when the celestial sovereign came to set up the heavenly Tao defense array, he mentioned his past to me. He was originally from Earth, but he went to another planet by accident. He entered Jiotian from that world, so he could only get the coordinates of that world. Mulong said. He said that he wanted to wait for you to come back and tell you all this, but he didn't expect you to be trapped in the myriad races' ancient realm. Compared to Earth, the people he needs to protect are all in his world. Earth will eventually need someone from Earth to protect it, and you are the person who can protect Earth. Lu Chen took a deep breath. It was a pity that he couldn't have a good chat with Pangu. Taking a deep breath, Lu Chen turned to face the crowd. How is your world now? Linglong hesitated for a moment and said, They haven't been attacked yet. As far as I know, after the myriad races' immortal war, the winner will first divide the planets of the human race's world. The Mystic Spirit race obtained the greatest merit in this war. The Mystic Spirit race will also be given a choice. They will symbolically choose a planet to attack as a sacrifice for the army of the myriad races. After that, the army of the myriad races will sweep through the human world. A cold light flashed in Lu Chen's eyes. The Mystic Spirit race. They might attack Earth first. Everyone knew that Qianji, who had contributed the most to the War of the Races, would definitely recommend Lu Chen's world, Earth. However, Lu Chen wasn't sure if Qianji could convince the Mystic Spirit race to attack Earth first. Lu Chen nodded. Can you teleport to your own world? Sure. Lu Chen thought about it and said, I can't guarantee whether Earth will be the first choice of the army of the 10,000 races. However, there are tens of thousands of human worlds. We can only rely on luck now. Let those people outside come in as well. Other than Earth's loose immortals, everyone else return to their own worlds. Once they discover the army of the 10,000 races in their worlds, immediately come back and tell Li Shang and the others. Uncle Li Shang, when you get the news, come to Earth and tell me immediately. Mu Long frowned. Lu Qin, what do you mean by this arrangement? Could it be that you want to fight against the army of the myriad realms by yourself? You have to calm down. Especially at times like this, you can't be rash. Yi Fan had a different idea. He looked at his master strangely. Master, what level are you now? Why do I feel that you give off a different vibe when you come back this time? Lu Qin thought for a while, and dispersed the spirit energy mist on his badge. Everyone looked at Lu Qin's badge. Jiu Xiaozhan Mulong, and the others read the words on it in unison. 1-star savage human emperor, mutated. What the hell is mutated? Why does it feel like a beast tamer catching a baby? Yeah, mutated divine beasts are indeed the first choice of beast tamers. However, why is Master a mutated one? That's not right. Master is the little beast's father, and the little beast is a battle pet. Therefore, Master can also become a battle pet. It's just that he's stronger, so ordinary people can't catch him. However, he's still a battle pet, and a mutated one at that. Lu Qin only felt that the group of people looked at him differently. A few of them who knew how to tame beasts even wanted to attack him. Yi Fan was silent for a long time. After thinking carefully, he suddenly said, Master, no wonder you're so strong. So you're a divine beast. All of you. Can you not focus on the word mutated? Lu Qin held his forehead. As expected, Xiaozhan, Chu Tian, Yi Fan, as well as the mysterious Armor King, with these four together, the group of people was led astray. Finally, Mulong understood. He exclaimed, Lu Qin, you're now human emperor? What realm is human emperor? Finally, there was a normal person. Lu Qin said, the king of the 100 worlds is the human emperor. There was no time to explain. Lu Qin said, time is of the essence now. Let's quickly arrange things. Okay. When it came to serious matters, everyone moved quickly and went to inform the immortals outside. Lu Qin called Little Beast. Little Beast, take me to see Rhubarb. In the war pet training room, Rhubarb was still sleeping. Dad, Big Yellow's 9 revolutions golden crow mirror has changed 8 times from 9 revolutions to 1 revolution, and then from 1 revolution to 9 revolutions. The little beast said. Lu Qin squatted down to check Rhubarb's condition. This guy's vital signs were normal. When he felt someone touching him, he changed his posture comfortably. After coming out of the 6 paths illusory realm, Lu Qin guessed that Rhubarb should also be undergoing some kind of cultivation. Rhubarb, I just wanted you to wake up earlier, but I didn't think about what you're going through. Rhubarb, don't worry about your cultivation. Then Lu Qin stood up and looked at Little Beast, Fluffy, and Originator. How's your strength during the 3 years on the Divine Beast Island? Little Beast patted his chest and said, Dad, don't worry, we won't hold you back. Lu Qin smiled. Oh, so powerful? Squeak, squeak, squeak. Lu Qin raised his hand and Fluffy jumped into his palm. Roar. Originator didn't want to be outdone and roared, its voice more vigorous than before. Lu Qin nodded and said seriously, Okay, then this time, you'll fight side by side with me. Half a day later, everyone had finished the task Lu Qin assigned to them. More than 700 true immortals and loose immortals were teleported back to their own worlds. Li Shang, Jinluan, and Gu Yan stayed behind as contacts. Ling Long, Mulong, Feng Wu, and the others also returned to their own worlds. The entire immortal spirit wonderland was suddenly deserted, as if it had become a lot colder. At night, Jiu went to Lu Qin's room and saw that Lu Qin was talking to a voice transmission talisman. After waiting patiently for him to finish, she asked, Who are you talking to? I've never seen that voice transmission talisman before. I'm talking to the celestial prime of the myriad spirit race, asking them to inform the mystic spirit race that I've come out of the mirror realm as soon as possible. Jiu frowned. Are you trying to persuade Qianji and the others to choose Earth as the sacrificial planet? Once the mystic spirit race knew that Lu Qin had come out of the myriad spirit ancient realm, Qianji would definitely recommend Earth to the mystic spirit race. Based on that guy's calculations, the probability of them attacking Earth would be greatly increased. Lu Chen sighed helplessly. There are so many worlds in the human world. If I don't meet the myriad spirit race's army, I don't know how many planets will be destroyed. So I can only lead them to Earth. I know it's dangerous for Earth, but I don't have a better way. But I'll protect Earth. If I lose. No, I can't lose. Earth can't be destroyed, and I'll protect your world. I can't lose. Lu Chen's words sounded like he was expressing his inner conflict. Jiao looked at Lu Chen with a pained expression. Only he could understand how terrifying the burden on his shoulders was. Seeing that Lu Chen was still mumbling, Jiao suddenly walked up to Lu Chen. She tiptoed and kissed Lu Chen's lips. Chapter 1395. Lu Chen's brain suddenly froze at this moment. This was the first time Lu Chen had intimate contact with a girl in reality. After roaming the pugilistic world for hundreds of years, Lu Chen finally had his first kiss. After the kiss, Jiao blushed and looked shyly at Lu Chen with pursed lips. Lu Chen swallowed his saliva. Jiao, brother Lu Chen, you're making my heart ache. Jiao's voice was very soft. You've shouldered too much along the way. Brother Lu Chen, I'm going back. You must survive. We must all survive. Jiao's eyes were moist. After saying that, she turned and left Lu Chen's room. Lu Chen did not react for a long time. After a while, Lu Chen regretted not leaving Jiao behind. She's leaving just like that? Lu Chen sighed. I thought we could have a deeper interaction. Just as Lu Chen was feeling regretful, the little beast pushed open the door and entered. It shouted at the top of its voice. Dad! We're ready. I'm going to see my brother. Lu Chen broke out in cold sweat. Luckily, nothing happened between him and Jiao, or just now. Otherwise, little beast would have seen it. Dad, I don't feel at ease leaving Rhubarb here alone. Why don't we bring him along? Lu Chen shook his head. I've tried this heavenly Dao defense array before, but I'm still unable to break it. This means that even a venerable immortal would be trapped here. They won't enter rashly. Lu Chen had naturally considered this problem. He continued. Rhubarb is very comfortable in the cultivation room. This means that this environment is helpful for his cultivation. If we move midway, his cultivation might go to waste. I've already told Uncle Li Shang to let Jin Luan accompany Rhubarb. If there's any danger, she'll bring Rhubarb back to Earth immediately. Little Beast nodded. All right then. Dad, when are we leaving? Lu Chen did not know either, and he said, let's wait for another day. Mu Long said that he would be able to repair my Earth Guard soon. Dad, is the Guardian of Earth powerful? I haven't seen you use it yet. Lu Chen smiled. It's all right. This time, Pangu left behind a large amount of resources. Mu Long said that there were a few cores of the Earth. Not only can they repair the Earthen Guardians, but they can also strengthen them. I wonder how effective they will be. I'll go to the cultivation room first. Call me if you need anything. After Lu Chen finished speaking, he went to the cultivation room. Lu Chen checked all the equipment on his body. Since Yi Futian had ascended to the Runhuang Plain, he had to retrieve all of his equipment and techniques again. Fortunately, Pangu had left behind more than 10 million spirit tablets, and Lu Chen had already taken all his equipment and cultivation techniques. In this ancient realm, Lu Chen was practicing spear intent. After all, he already had a cultivation technique that he could cultivate. The fourth level of the God-slaying spear is called Endless Daybreak. Now that my spear intent has reached the great success stage, I'll give it a try. Lu Chen's mind moved, and the God-slaying spear turned into an afterimage. In an instant, the entire cultivation room suddenly erupted with spiritual power. In the dimly lit room, a white light suddenly appeared, as bright as day. Although it was just a spear test, the cultivation room, which was specially used for cultivation, was directly shattered. Lu Chen's eyes widened. He expected that he would not need much time to cultivate Endless Daybreak, but he did not expect that he would succeed on his first try and even destroy the cultivation room. There was only one cultivation room here. A figure rushed out of the cultivation room. When he saw Lu Chen standing there with a dumbfounded expression, he glared at Lu Chen. Do you want us to sleep on the streets in the future? Mu Long glared at Lu Chen fiercely. Lu Chen blinked. I didn't do it on purpose. Like hell I'll believe you. Let me tell you, if you want the Earth Guardian, you better be honest and don't disturb me. After saying that, Mu Long went back to help Lu Chen refine the Earth puppet. Lu Chen shook his head. It seemed that he would not cultivate the cultivation method. He would go to the cultivation room to consolidate his realm. One day later, Earth Jiangcheng, Wuxia country. Lu Chen was walking on the bustling commercial street with a young man. It was unknown whether the Seventh Heavens teleportation array was unable to perfectly connect with Lu Chen's landing capsule, or whether it was the Pangu Celestial's teleportation array that caused Lu Chen to appear on the streets of Jiangcheng after teleporting. Fortunately, there were many pedestrians around. However, if they did not deliberately pay attention, they would not notice when there were two more people around them. Now Lu Chen had long hair and was wearing a black and gold dragon robe. He did not fit in with the surrounding people. So did Little Beast. It was about 1.8 meters tall and was wearing a white dragon robe with a black dragon on it. Little Originator had turned into a small furry ball. The two little guys stood on Lu Chen's shoulders and looked around curiously. Since Lu Chen went to the seventh heaven, he had not returned to Earth for nearly 8 years. If one counted the hundreds of years of space cultivation and the 3 reincarnations, it should be said that Lu Chen had not returned to Earth for hundreds of years. Dad, is this your hometown? It's actually a technological world. The little critter found everything new. It looked left and right as if it had never seen the world before. Follow me closely, Lu Chen said. When we have time, I'll take you to have fun. There are too many people here, and the space is too crowded. If I summon the 10 wings, I might hurt passers-by. I remember that it's not far away. Let's hurry up. The surrounding people were not too surprised to see the two's costumes. Now that Earth had been influenced by Jiutian, it was common for people to wear Jiutian costumes and keep Jiutian costumes. The two beauties opposite them saw the little white mouse standing on Lu Chen's shoulders and could not help laughing. Look, that guy is putting his pet on his shoulder. The little guy is so cute. That tall man, why does he look so familiar? Yes, now that you mention it, I do feel like I've seen him somewhere, but I can't remember where. Because Lu Chen's appearance, height, and costume had been greatly changed, many people did not know that the man in front of them was the strongest man on Earth. Lu Chen suddenly heard the beauties mention Little Furry. Although Little Furry had followed Lu Chen for so many years, and should not have any ideas about Earth, Lu Chen was still worried. He turned his head and said to Little Furry on his shoulder, Little Furry, I don't need to say more. You can only eat what I give you. After walking for a while, Lu Chen scratched his head. Jiang City had changed too much, and he seemed to be a little lost. Let's take a taxi, Lu Chen said, and then stopped a taxi. The driver drove in the front and looked at Little Furry in the back seat from time to time in the rearview mirror. This mount is so soft. It's much more comfortable than the 10-winged dragon scale. Little Furry was excited. Hey young man, have you never been in a car before? If you continue, my car is going to fall apart. Lu Chen was also speechless. Forget it, he should have kept Little Furry in the beast pen. Not far ahead was a heavily guarded military base. The original villa area had now completely turned into a military zone. You can only stop here. You can't go near the front. The driver said, please scan the payment code with your phone or scan your face. Lu Chen froze for a moment. He didn't know where his cell phone was. Scan my face. Lu Chen scanned his face with the payment device. Beep beep, verification successful. Wuxia officials have paid the fare on behalf of you. The driver did not hear clearly. What? Wuxia officials paid the fare on behalf of me? What does that mean? He hurriedly looked at the payment device. Verification result, top secret. Not available. Jiutian identity data, top secret. Not available. Payment successful. Payer, Jiang City Finance Bureau. Chapter 1396. Seeing Lu Chen walk away, the driver suddenly slapped his thigh and woke up. I know who he is. He's Mad God. He's back. Oh my God, I actually picked up Mad God. He had not been home for a long time. The soldiers at the door did not recognize Lu Qin. So Lu Qin could only ask Li Muhua to come out and pick him up. Li Muhua rushed over when he heard the news. When he saw Lu Qin, his eyes were already red. Qin, you're finally back. Is this your friend? Li Muhua looked at little beast. My son. Lu Qin did not give him a chance to express his emotions. Inform the Earth Alliance immediately that the myriad races are attacking. Tell them to be prepared. What? The myriad races are attacking? What do you mean? Is this Jiutian? Qin, are you muddle-headed? This is Earth. Lu Qin said anxiously. You're the one who's confused. I'm talking about Earth. Li Muhua finally understood the seriousness of the situation. The myriad races were invading Earth. After figuring this out, Li Muhua rushed to the back like a madman. As he ran, he shouted, Go home by yourself. Lu Yi and the children are at home. I'll report to the higher-ups. Lu Qin did not stop and went straight to his villa. From afar, he saw a woman watching two children play in the courtyard outside his villa. Lu Qin suddenly stopped in his tracks. Bei Shui had already grown into a big child. He should be 8 or 9 years old, but his height was already about 1.5 meters. The child that Bei Shui brought along was about 5 or 6 years old. His skin was snow white, and there was a faint shadow of himself when he was young. His big bright eyes were exactly the same as Mu Sheng's. At this moment, Lu Yi, who was taking care of the two children, seemed to have noticed something and looked over. She saw Lu Qin at a glance and slowly stood up involuntarily. Her expression was full of disbelief. Brother! Before Lu Qin could react, someone suddenly shouted from the side, Auntie! Then Little Beast rushed past Lu Qin and came to Lu Yi, saying excitedly. Lu Yi was stunned. Auntie? You are? Lu Qin walked over and shook his head helplessly. The originally warm reunion scene was ruined by the little critter. He is Little Beast. Didn't you guys meet him when he was in the 5th celestial layer? But he was still young at that time. Lu Qin said weakly. This brat is growing up in a hurry. Louis looked at Little Beast in shock. This fellow had already grown into an adult and was standing beside Lu Qin. No one would believe that they were father and son, but if they were brothers, it was more or less the same. In the past, when the little critter was still young, it didn't know anything and didn't know how to call people. Now that this fellow knew more and more things, it took the initiative to run over and call people. Little Beast, you've already grown so big. Aunt, these two are my younger brothers, right? One is Xiaoyi, the other is Xiaoyao. Only then did Lu Yi remember and hurriedly called the two children over. Zhuyi, look who's back. Yao Yao, quickly come over. Xiaoyi still had some impression of Lu Qin. When he saw Lu Qin, he excitedly came over. Uncle. Lu Yao frowned slightly. After pondering for a moment, he decided to follow his older brother and call him uncle. Uncle. Lu Yi and Lu Qin looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. This child was indeed smart, but unfortunately, he still called the wrong uncle. Silly child, this isn't your uncle. This is your father. Lu Yi smiled and pinched Lu Yao's face. Lu Yao widened his eyes and looked at Lu Qin. Father? But aunt, he doesn't look like the one in the photo. Me too, I'm your older brother. Little Beast was afraid that he would be left out, and hurriedly introduced himself. Louis saw that Lu Yao was a little distant from this biological father, and said a little embarrassedly, Brother, this child is still young and has never seen you before. Please don't mind. Lu Qin obviously wouldn't mind. He squatted down and carefully looked at Lu Yao. This was his and Mu Sheng's son. Lu Yao, I came back in a hurry this time and didn't prepare any gifts for you. Tell me what you want. I'll definitely bring it for you next time. I want. Mother. Lu Yao's words suddenly made Lu Chen's heart ache. Ever since he met Mu Sheng in the Immortal Ancestors' ruins, he didn't know how Mu Sheng was doing. It was a pity that he didn't have the time to look for Mu Sheng. Lu Chen took a deep breath and said, All right, next time, I'll bring your mother back with me. Dad, you talk business with Aunt Little Furball, Little Yuan, and I will play with them. Lu Chen nodded. This time he didn't come back to visit his family. Brother, why did you come back this time? How many days are you staying? I'm basically at home every day to take care of the children. I can spend more time with you. Lu Chen was about to say something when Li Muhua drove an off-road vehicle and hurriedly stopped in front of Lu Chen's door. Chun, quick, take your 10-winged flying dragon to the Pacific Earth Alliance headquarters. They'll convene the world's leaders for a meeting in an hour, and you'll be there. Lu Chen nodded and summoned the 10-winged flying dragon. A giant dragon floated in the air. Fortunately, they were all villas here. Otherwise, the surrounding buildings would definitely collapse. Lu Chen grabbed Li Muhua's wrist and said to Lu Yi, you can ask Little Beast directly. I'll go with Muhua first. As soon as his voice fell, Lu Chen directly jumped up and directly jumped on the back of the 10-winged flying dragon with Li Muhua. At the side, Bei Xue and Lu Yao looked at the giant dragon in the sky with eyes full of shock. Wow, Yao, that's your dad's mount. Isn't it cool? Lu Yao looked at the giant dragon and said faintly, my future mount must be cooler than my dad's. Lu Chen informed the Earth Alliance headquarters of the matter, and there was an uproar in the venue. 10,000 races are attacking and they're all experts above the immortal realm. Won't we be unable to stop them? Why do they want to destroy the human race? The difference in strength is too great. Mad God. How likely is it that the 10,000 races will attack Earth first? Lu Chen said indifferently. I'm not sure either. But regardless of whether they attack Earth first or later, one thing is certain. They will never let Earth go. This Mad God, then what do you think we should do now? Lu Chen said. I'm telling you this so that you can be prepared. You need to do two things. First, use all means to monitor the movements in space. If the enemy invades, try to find the enemy as soon as possible. Once you find the enemy, inform me immediately. Second, be fully prepared to deal with any unexpected events. The Great Wall of Iron and Blood looked at Lu Chen in surprise. Lu Chen, is there any meaning to what we do now? The world of science and technology is nothing in front of the world of martial arts. Moreover, as you said, the army of 10,000 races has countless true immortals, Sengoku, and even immortal lords. It would only take an instant for them to destroy Earth. Lu Chen snorted and said coldly, if they want to destroy Earth, they have to ask for my permission first. Chapter 1397. Earth, like thousands of human worlds, quickly entered a state of high alert. All the military weapons of the various countries were ready to go. All the people had tried their best to withdraw Jiotian goods. At the same time, under the leadership of the Earth Alliance, they were preparing to stockpile resources to resist this unprecedented invasion. Even if the invaders were at least itinerant immortals, no matter how strong the enemy was, the people's determination to protect Earth would not change. Lu Chen took Lu Yao, Bei Xue, Little Beast, Little Furball, and Little Yuan to look around the current river town. Little Furball and Little Yuan seemed to like Lu Yao and Bei Xue very much. They actually abandoned Lu Chen and let the two children carry them obediently. They were so obedient that Lu Chen did not even recognize them. Dad, I want to eat this. Little Beast pointed at the ice cream on the billboard. Lu Yao literally, do you want to eat it? Yes. It's just that Auntie doesn't let me and brother eat too much, Lu Yao said. Lu Chen smiled and went to buy a few ice cream cones. They then sat on the bench in the business district and tasted the Earth's delicacies. Little Furball finished the ice cream and the cup in a few bites, and then tried to snatch Little Yuan's ice cream. Little Yuan hugged the ice cream cone and hit on Lu Chen's shoulder. Failing to snatch it, Little Furball glanced at Little Beastie. That fellow immediately protected the ice cream cone and turned to the side. I love it. It's so much better than Beast Course. Little Furball, what are you doing? I'm warning you, don't even think about it. Little Furball finally looked at Lu Yao. Lu Yao patted Little Furball with a smile and pushed his ice cream cone to Little Furball. How can you eat so much? You can eat mine then. Seeing that Lu Yao did not have anything to eat, Bei Xue pushed his ice cream cone over. Yao, let's eat together. Lu Chen looked at Lu Yao's ice cream with gratification in his eyes. Usually 5 or 6-year-old children would protect their own things. Some people even in their 20s or 30s were still like this, such as Little Beast at the side. Lu Yao was very generous. Bei Xue and Lu Yao grew up together as if they were brothers. He and Lu Yi relied on each other since they were young. In the next generation, the relationship between the two little guys far surpassed that of ordinary cousins. In the future, they might be able to create another world. Of course, the prerequisite was that they had to have a future. Thinking of this, Lu Chen looked up at the sky. "Uncle, will my father and the others be all right?" Bei Xue suddenly asked. Lu Chen turned to look at Bei Xue. "I've already asked your mother to inform them. If anything happens over there, I'll go over to help your father." Bei Xue lowered his head with a heavy heart. "Uncle, I heard that the people who came were all immortals. If immortals want to destroy mortals, can we really stop them? Furthermore, our school has already organized for us to enter Jiotian. The strength of the human race has always been considered the weakest." Bei Xue was, after all, an elder, so he already understood many things. Lu Chen faintly smiled as he stroked Bei Xue's head. "Who told you that the human clan is weak?" "They all say so." Bei Xue looked at Lu Chen strangely. "Who? Everyone. Then use your strength to shut everyone up," Lu Chen said with a smile. Suddenly, Bei Xue was stunned. This was the first time he had heard such an answer. However, this sentence was enough to solve the problem that had been troubling him for a long time. Lu Yao also put down his spoon and looked at the man in front of him. Ever since Lu Chen came back, although Lu Yao had been following Lu Chen, he had never called Lu Chen father. His aunt said that his father was very, very powerful. However, in these 2 days, Lu Chen was like an ordinary father, taking them shopping and playing. Lu Yao had never seen his parents since he was young, and longed to have them by his side. At first, he felt unfamiliar with this man, but after all, blood was thicker than water. After interacting with him for 2 days, Lu Yao felt more and more close to Lu Chen. It would be great if he could always be with him. At this moment, Lu Chen's phone rang. Lu Chen had not used his phone for a long time, and was a little flustered. "How do I turn on my phone now? Xiaoyi, help me turn it on." "Uncle, there's an incoming call. Just say answer and it'll be fine." Lu Chen said answer to the phone, and sure enough, a sound came from the phone. "Mad God, they're here." But they didn't appear in outer space, but above the South China Sea. Their teleportation point is above the South China Sea. Suddenly, a clap of thunder exploded in the sky, the sound startling the 2 children. "Such a big thunder, this is the first time I've heard it." Bei Xue looked at the sky. Lu Chen looked at the sky. At this time, the whole sky was filled with rolling dark clouds, like a huge vortex. Thunder and lightning crisscrossed the sky, as if the sky was being torn apart again and again. Even Lu Chen had not seen such a phenomenon before. The surrounding crowd was already in a mess. People seemed to have known something. A military bulletproof car rushed into the pedestrian street and stopped in front of Lu Chen. Li Muhua came down from the car and looked at Lu Chen anxiously. "Chen." Lu Chen nodded, but was not in a hurry to get into the car. He squatted down and looked at the little Lu Yao gently. "Can you call me Daddy?" Suddenly Li Muhua, who was burning with anxiety, suddenly had tears in his eyes. No one could calculate how much this man had done for Earth. However, his biggest wish was for the child to call him Daddy. Lu Yao pursed his lips, as if he could not say it. "Yao or your father, he." Li Muhua could not bear to watch, but he did not know what to say. Lu Chen smiled and patted the child's head. "It's okay, Muhua. Please." Li Muhua nodded heavily. "Don't worry." Then he carried the 2 children into the car. Li Muhua came down from the back seat and wanted to get into the car, but he suddenly stopped. He walked in front of Lu Chen and hugged Lu Chen tightly. "Lu Chen, come back alive." Lu Chen's eyes were moist. Did he still remember the soldier who kicked the 4 hooligans? For decades he had been protecting Lu Chen by his side. Time did not dilute their friendship. Li Muhua let go of his hand. There were many things he wanted to say, but there was no need to say them. He looked at Lu Chen again, and quickly got into the car. However, when he got into the car, he saw him touching his eyes. The car left quickly. In the end, Lu Yao did not call him Daddy. However, Lu Chen also knew that he owed the child. He did not have the right to ask Lu Yao for anything. In the sky, the thunder seemed to have gone crazy. It exploded crazily in the sky. The loud sound was like the roar of a beast that was about to be born. It could not wait to devour the entire planet. Wuxia took a deep breath. Little beast, stop eating. It's time to go. Oh, got it, Daddy. Little beast licked its fingers and reluctantly threw away the cup. There were many shops around, but Wuxia could not care less. 10-winged celestial dragon. With a boom, a huge dragon appeared in the sky. As if it sensed its master's fighting spirit, the 10-winged celestial dragon roared. Roar. Wuxia's lips curled up slightly. 10-winged, it seems like you're very excited too. Little beast. The two of them jumped up at the same time and stood on the dragon's head. The huge dragon instantly disappeared into the sky. It shuttled through the clouds and headed straight for the southern sea. Chapter 1398. At this time, everyone in the world was watching the sky above Wuxia's South China Sea through the projection stone and the web TV. Millions of figures hovered in the air, covering the entire sky. They were like the millions of celestial soldiers and generals in the legends. Their auras engulfed tens of thousands of miles, and they came with great momentum. They can float in the air without using mounts or magical treasures. Are those immortals? They are already standing at the peak of Jiutian. It's really here. Our doomsday is really here. Why must they destroy our Earth? Hundreds of destroyers fired thousands of anti-air missiles. However, some people just raised their hands and these missiles directly detonated beside them. The cannon fire outlined the edges of the spiritual shield. Firearms were useless in front of these immortals. A sword chi shot down from the sky. The sword chi slashed across the sea, and the sea was directly split into two. The battleships were instantly cut and sank. In the blink of an eye, the world of science and technology was not worth mentioning in front of the immortals. However, the other party did not seem to be in a hurry to attack. In the crowd, a man flew into the air and laughed loudly at the projection stone. Ha 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 ha, it's finally here. You don't have to be afraid. We will not kill you all because I will turn all of you into living puppets. Billions of puppets, old people, men, women, children, babies, ha 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 ha. You will all become my collection. Although it will be a little painful to hollow out your internal organs, destroy your meridians and blood vessels and restructure your bones, but after you become living puppets, you will not die. Isn't this the immortality you want? You should thank me. Ha ha ha. Countless people's faces were pale. That madman wanted to turn billions of people on Earth into living puppets? Not only did they want to invade and destroy Earth, but they also wanted to torture all humans. This guy is a madman. Is this what immortals are like? Why are they crueler than humans? Why does such a cruel person have invincible strength? Is the invincible benevolence all a lie? God, is there anyone who can save us? Is today really the day of our Earth's destruction? All we can do now is to pray. However, a strong enemy had invaded, and the world was in chaos. Gods and Buddhas were speechless. On the day of Earth's destruction, there was no so-called savior coming to save humanity. The man shouted, "The eradication of the human race will begin with your Earth. It's useless even if you pray to the gods, because we are the gods. No one can stop this army of 10,000 races." On the surface of the sea, great waves roared and rushed to the shore, setting off enormous waves that overflowed into the heavens. In the sky, dark clouds roiled, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. The day was like an eternal night. An old taxi driver in his 40s was sitting at home. His wife and son were in despair. Anyone with a bit of rationality would know that Earth had no power to fight this battle at all. However, he was still staring at the screen. He rubbed his hands in front of him and muttered, "I know you're back. I saw you that day. If there is still hope for Earth, then this hope must be you. If you were still the person who protected Earth, you would definitely appear." His teenage son looked at his father strangely. "Dad, what are you talking about? Stop dreaming, we have no hope. We don't even dare to think about the strength of an immortal. With so many immortals here, how could anyone possibly turn the tide?" However, the old father did not listen to him at all. Instead, he shouted angrily, "What do you know? In the face of all impossibilities, there will always be an exception. The old father stared at the screen. Just because that person is called solipsistic. At the headquarters of the Earth Alliance, all the leaders were looking at the screen of the South Sea. The current hope was not in the army. Lu Chen had said that if they came, they should not use large-scale weapons. Not only would that be ineffective, they had to wait for Lu Chen. Everyone was waiting for that figure. Bingcheng. At the headquarters of the Wild Wave Guild, Leng Nua, Ning Shuang, Stardust, 10 Steps, Huaxiang, Feng Lingzi, all the higher-ups of the Wild Wave were staring at the screen. President, will you appear? Just like back then. After a few waves surged, they gradually subsided. The immortal army had already pressed down on the border and surged towards the low altitude. However, someone shouted, "Look, there's someone on the surface of the sea." Everyone's eyes were looking at the surface of the South Sea of Huaxia. No one knew when, but there was already a figure standing there. This person was wearing a black robe with a golden dragon on it. His white hair fluttered in the wind. His face was calm, his eyes were slightly closed, and his hands were behind his back. Beside him, a 2-meter-long spear was suspended in the air. A man and a spear stood in the air above the sea. Who is that person? Many young people did not recognize this white-haired man. Even some of the older people were puzzled at this time. White hair, black robe, and a spear. In their impression, there was no such person. However, there were still some people who remembered his appearance. On the shore, a guard suddenly arrived and shouted, "It's nameless, it's the mad god. It's the solipsistic." When the word solipsistic came out, the memories of some older people were unlocked. Solipsistic. The solipsistic is back? Earth War God. How could I forget him? He's back. Brother, who is the solipsistic? Solipsistic? He's a legend, a legend. A legend that no one can surpass. Then can he win? The solipsistic is back, but can he win? The opponent is 1,000,000 immortal soldiers, itinerant immortals, true immortals, Sengoku, and celestial supremes. How strong is he? In the war of the 10,000 races, once defeated, the entire race will be exterminated. There has been no exception since the beginning of time. Can the solipsistic stop this terrifying army? Seeing the person on the sea, the 10,000 races immortal soldiers became restless. It's the solipsistic. Did he really come out of the mirror realm? This guy was quite strong before. He's only a human king, but he's almost undefeatable below celestial supremes. He's only undefeatable below celestial supremes. Don't forget, we have 100,000 celestial supremes. Just the mystic spirit race alone has 300 celestial supremes. Thousands of Sengoku can kill him like chickens. Lu Chen closed his eyes and said calmly, "Qianji, we finally meet again." The man who was the most arrogant was obviously Qianji. When he saw Lu Chen, he narrowed his eyes. Many years of grudges finally exploded at this moment. Because of this Lu Chen, he had been unable to sleep at night. He had plotted and plotted many times, but he still could not kill this person. This was the first person who could make him return empty-handed. In front of him, he felt no sense of accomplishment. However, the second time they met was in Lu Chen's original world. Then Qianji laughed maniacally. "Ha ha ha ha, solipsistic, I didn't expect that the mirror realm could not kill you. Fine, I admit that you're tough. But so what? Look at where we are now. Is this your world? Haha, fine. I want you to watch your people get slaughtered. No, I forgot, not slaughtered, but turned into puppets. No matter how strong you are, you're just a mortal, and the most useless human race. How can a mortal fight against 10,000 immortals? How can you fight against the heavens?" Lu Chen opened his eyes slightly. His voice was not loud, but it was firm. "Remember my words. The human race is the strongest race. Mortals should go against the heavens." Chapter 1399. In front of the TV, Bei Shui's eyes widened. "Isn't that what my uncle told me? If everyone says that the human race is the weakest, then I have the power to shut everyone up. The human race is the strongest among all the races." At this moment, a seed was planted in the underage Bei Shui's heart. the seed to become a powerful being. Whether it was those who knew Lu Chen or those who did not, they all understood the meaning of Lu Chen's idea. Vast universe, solipsistic. Qianji narrowed his eyes. Solipsistic, you are still as arrogant as before. Very well, let me see if you still have the right to be arrogant. Qianji turned around and clasped his fists towards a tall man. Hongyu Celestial, Qianji requests to fight. Let's kill Solipsistic first. The man placed his hands behind his back and smiled. Qianji, you are so confident. Have you mastered the devouring black tide? Qianji smiled proudly. I mastered it 3 years ago. Oh, another celestial said. Interesting. I heard that the devouring black tide is extremely domineering. It is the top skill of puppeteers. Even celestial sovereigns would find it dangerous. I am interested to see it. Hongyu thought for a while and seemed to have some concerns. After all, she had heard of Lu Chen's strength. 5 years ago, he was already invincible among those below celestial sovereigns. On the other hand, Qianji was only an itinerant immortal. You are a strategist of Hongyu. You should not be in danger. This is the first battle where all the races will annihilate the human race. It is very important. How about this? Summon your devouring black tide. I will give it a try. Qianji clasped his fists. Thank you, Hongyu Celestial, for thinking so highly of me. I shall accept your attack. After saying that, countless black insects flew out from Qianji's fingers. The number was incalculable. It was like a dark cloud covering the sun. God-devouring demonic insects. Someone in the army recognized the small puppets. There are so many of them. Qianji is indeed an expert in the art of puppetry. It's said that the God-eater demonic bug can devour spiritual energy. Although it's small, tens of millions of them are like a black cloud. Their defensive power and destructive power are unimaginable. To be able to control so many puppets at the same time. I finally understand why Hongyu gave Qianji such a good treatment. This guy is too strong. Millions of God-devouring demonic bugs surrounded Qianji, covering the sky. Venerable Immortal, please make your move. Hongyu Immortal Master nodded slightly. I'll use 70% of my power. If you can block it, I'll agree to your request. After that, Hongyu raised her hand slightly, and a red machete slowly emerged from the void. Qianji narrowed his eyes. Crimson Moonbreak. Suddenly, Hongyu slashed out, and a saber chi that was thousands of meters long chopped down from the sky. This saber strike was extremely fast, and the saber chi traversed 5 kilometers. As the saber chi shot out, the sea surface was already affected, and waves began to surge. Qianji raised his palm. God-devouring demonic formation Mos Ho. The God-eater demonic bugs spread out in a line that stretched for 2,000 to 3,000 meters. The saber chi hit the demonic formation. However, the expected spiritual energy collision did not happen. Instead, a large number of God-eater demonic bugs devoured the spiritual energy in the saber chi. The saber chi that was thousands of meters long disappeared, and only the sword chi from the 2 ends of the saber chi continued to shoot out. Half a breath later, the 2 saber chi swept out into the distance. Wherever it passed, all the buildings were flattened. It only stopped when it hit the ground a few hundred meters away. Far away, the ground was split into 2 bottomless ravines. Seeing this scene, everyone was already trembling with fear. Hongyu obviously did not use her full strength. However, the saber chi was able to split the sea and split the ground. This was already an unimaginable destructive power. However, Qianji's demonic formation could easily neutralize this saber chi. Those God-eater demonic bugs were unimaginably terrifying. Hongyu seemed to be shocked by Qianji's strength. Qianji, I did not expect you to be able to block this attack of mine. Very good. I agree to let you fight. You must kill Solipsistic and use his blood as a sacrifice to my celestial master. Qianji smiled. It seemed that he had proven his strength. Qianji turned around and his expression changed. His eyes were filled with excitement. Solipsistic, I heard that you have been trying to kill me. Today, I'll give you a chance. It's time to end the grudge between us. Lu Chen looked at Qianji calmly. You're still as stupid as ever. If I were you, I would hide behind the million immortal soldiers. Perhaps, I might be lucky enough to escape. But you actually want to fight me alone? This was the first time Qianji was called stupid. Lu Chen even hinted that Qianji was a coward for running away multiple times. This was also the reason why Qianji was so angry. He was furious. Solipsistic, I'm going to tear you into pieces. Qianji looked at Lu Chen coldly. Solipsistic, where's your god-slaying rat? As long as it's not fully formed, let it out. I'll devour it in front of my god-slaying black tide. Even your skills that are stronger than your Heaven's Wrath Spear, Heaven-piercing sword and Holy Lotus sword cannot hurt me. Tell me, what chance do you have of winning? Remember this. If I could kill you back then, I can still kill you now. It's time to end the grudge between us. Immortal skill, puppet psychic. The God-Eater demonic bugs became excited. It seemed to be some kind of skill that could increase the strength of puppets. Solipsistic, have a taste of the invincible skill that I've specially prepared for you. Immortal skill, God-slaying black tide. Qianji's body disappeared from where he was. This puppet skill actually had astral form. Qianji had already hidden himself among the God-Eater demonic bugs. Countless God-Eater demonic bugs swarmed towards Qianji from afar. The battle was finally about to begin. At this moment, everyone was so nervous that they forgot to breathe. When they saw that Solipsistic was still standing there, and he did not even grab the spear next to him, they were so anxious that they could not sit still. Solipsistic, hurry up and move. That god-slaying black tide is too scary. Why is he still standing there? Lone Tyrant can even swallow a celestial sovereign in one move. If he doesn't move now, he won't be able to escape. Inside a villa in the imperial capital, a middle-aged man was so anxious that he jumped up from his sofa. Lone Tyrant, why don't you move? Even if you tortured my prince time and time again, this is a matter of life and death for Earth. You can't die. Of course, Lu Chen didn't know that the crown prince of the empire was worried about him. Facing the overwhelming number of God-Eater demonic bugs, Lu Chen snorted coldly. Qianji, if I say you're stupid, you're really stupid. How dare he compare himself with Hongyue? It wasn't until the black tide engulfed the sky and surrounded him that Lu Chen coldly said in a low voice, Demon God Observation Heaven's Eye. Qianji, you've mastered the god-slaying black tide. But do you know what I've mastered in the Six Paths Illusory Realm? Having said that, Lu Chen shouted. Earth Fiend Xianming Spear, one spear of heaven and earth. Above the dark clouds, between the stars, a white light shot down from the sky like a laser. It pierced through the clouds and shot towards the center of the God-Eater formation. Chapter 1400. The Spear of Heaven and Earth was the most powerful move of the Earth Fiend Xianming Spear. When Lu Chen used it, it was even more powerful. Countless God-Eater demonic bugs were devouring the spiritual energy from the attack. Suddenly, a beam of light shot down from the sky above the South Sea. At the bottom of the beam of light, countless demonic bugs were devouring the spiritual energy, forming a black base. At the bottom of the beam of light, it actually managed to block the Spear of Heaven and Earth. Lone Tyrant, your spear won't be able to break my demon talisman formation. Qianji's voice rang out. Hongyu squinted her eyes. These God-Eater demonic bug puppets are indeed powerful. Solipsistic's spear is so powerful that Qianji can block it. Looks like there's no doubt about the outcome of this battle. At this moment, Lu Chen snorted coldly. He suddenly held his god-slaying spear and charged into the boundless black fog. Many people were dumbfounded by what they saw. The Spear of Heaven and Earth had restrained Qianji, and the heaven-devouring demonic bug formation had yet to attack Solipsistic. However, Solipsistic charged into the demonic bug formation? Isn't he courting death? However, what no one knew was that in the last year of the Tianyuan continent, Lu Chen stood in the middle of the sea. The water came crashing down on him, while his spear chi and spear intent were at his will. When the lake water fell, Lu Chen's body was not wet at all. Today, countless God-Eater demonic bugs were charging towards him. Lu Chen's spear was as fast as lightning. Large amounts of God-Eater demonic bug corpses fell from the demonic bug formation. A celestial prime widened his eyes. What's going on? I don't know. Lu Chen actually charged into the demonic bug formation and killed a large number of them. Hong Yu suddenly frowned and said, the demonic bug formation's destructive power and defensive power are both terrifying. It even exceeded my expectations. However, we neglected 2 points. Hong Yu, what did we neglect? Hong Yu said, whether it's the heaven-devouring demonic bug formation or the demonic bug formation, the God-Eater demonic bug's strength lies in their numbers. That's why Qianji spent so much time to create so many God-Eater demonic bug puppets. However, we were so shocked by the power of the bug tide that we forgot that individual God-Eater demonic bugs are not that strong. Another point is that the God-Eater demonic insects have been made into puppets. That is to say, you don't even need to destroy the puppets directly. You only need to cut off the connection between the puppets and the puppeteers to make the God-Eater demonic insects lose their ability to resist. Lu Chen used his spear of heaven and earth to attack Qianji's real body. He only needs to distract a large number of demonic insects and rush into the hive to cut off the spiritual energy connection between the puppeteer and the puppeteer. Qianji will be defeated. However, not everyone can break into the hive alone. Not to mention, Qianji's puppetry skills are very high. He only controls the puppets with his spiritual power. It's something that can't be seen. In order to cut off the puppet strings, one would need to be able to see through them. Regardless of whether it's the use of the spear or the refinement of his spiritual qi, this guy has already reached an extremely terrifying level. After Hong Yu's analysis, everyone understood that Lu Chen had not wasted any moves from the beginning. He had already thought of a strategy to deal with Qianji. Qianji was not stupid. He had already started controlling the God-Eater demonic insects to attack Lu Chen. God-slaying spear, Heaven's Wrath spear, Earth's Fiend Xianming spear, Dark Heaven's Wrath Earth's Wrath. 2 powerful AoE skills were used at the same time. Instantly, the surface of the sea was like boiling water. Countless water curtains were formed. How could the insect tide have time to attack Lu Chen after swallowing such a terrifying amount of spiritual energy? Qianji quickly got into formation to block the Heaven's Wrath spear and Dark Heaven's Wrath Earth's Wrath. Qianji, you have too few demonic insects. Lu Chen snorted. How dare you try to kill me with your unorthodox skills? I told you that you're stupid. You're really stupid. Hordes of demonic insects fell from the sky after Lu Chen cut off their spiritual threads. It felt like Lin Fan was cutting off Qianji's flesh. Qianji couldn't help but roar. Lone tyrant. I'm going to kill you. Forbidden skill, sacrifice of heavenly demons. Suddenly, countless God-Eater demonic insects had their flesh and blood sucked out by Lin Fan's spiritual threads. In the sky, there was a terrifying ball of blood, surrounded by dense blood vessels. Countless pieces of flesh and blood were converging on the ball of blood from all directions. It's the forbidden skill, sacrifice of heavenly demons. Hong Yu's eyes were wide open. Qianji has lost his mind after seeing that the heaven-devouring dark tide could not do anything to Lu Chen. He's willing to sacrifice millions of God-Eater demonic insects to kill Lu Chen. But I did not expect him to have such a move. Qianji's real body appeared from the ball of blood. He was enjoying the feeling of countless blood vessels entering his body. Lu Chen tried to shoot out a ray of spear aura. However, it was absorbed by the ball of blood. Qianji looked at Lu Chen with interest. Solipsistic. You didn't expect this, right? This is my most powerful skill. How can I not prepare a backup plan to deal with you? Don't you like to divide and conquer? Now that all the God-Eater demonic insects are gathered on me, let's see how you are going to divide and conquer. With my current strength, even a celestial prime would be afraid of me. Lu Chen floated in midair and looked at Qianji calmly. Qianji suddenly looked at Hong Yu. Celestial prime, please give the order to attack and distract him. Lu Chen sneered. Qianji was indeed a schemer. He would do anything to achieve his goals. Hong Yu nodded. All right. All the races are waiting for the result of this battle. We should not delay any longer. Let's clear the ground first. Hong Yu ordered. Behind her, millions of immortal soldiers started to move towards the shore. Roar. With a furious roar, A huge white tiger suddenly leaped out of nowhere and charged into the army of immortals. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Roar. A white mouse suddenly expanded 100 times. Even its voice changed. In front of the immortal army, a young man spread his wings and stood in front of the army. In front of the TV, Lu Yao saw that person and shouted excitedly. It's Brother Little Beast. Brother Little Beast is so cool. There's also Little Furball and Little Originator. Louie calmed down a little when she heard Little Beast shouting excitedly. Brother, you are more mature than before. You already have a backup plan. Time had made Lu Chen stronger. Little Beast looked at the immortal army and shouted. Father has given the order. Anyone who crosses this line will be killed. Lu Chen had already arranged for Little Beast and the rest to stay at the shore. Lu Chen looked at the three beasts. He had no idea how long they could last. He had to get rid of Qianji as soon as possible. Sacrifice all the God-Eater demonic bugs? Lu Chen snorted. All right. That will save me a lot of trouble. I would like to see if you can swallow the spiritual power of my skill. Lu Chen shouted. Dragon God form. God of war possession. Demon transformation. Death trap. Dragon blood boiling. Celestial demonic might. Celestial demonic body. Emptiness of gods and demons arm. How long had it been since he was in his best form? Lu Chen could not remember. In an instant, the sky changed color. Dark clouds rolled, and the wind howled. The waves on the sea were raging. Qianji Dai. Void attack, void destruction spear, heavenly rage spear. Chapter 1401. Lu Chen shot towards Qianji like a ray of black light. After absorbing the blood, Qianji's eyes widened. Good. I'll let you know the power of the heavenly demon sacrifice. Devour. Qianji punched out. The moment both of them came into contact, Qianji's body started to swell up rapidly in less than half a second. Instantly, Qianji's physical body exploded. The sky above the South Sea was dyed red with blood. Hongyu's eyes were wide open. Qianji's ability to devour spiritual energy was even more terrifying than when he was in the heavenly demon sacrifice state. Yet he could not even block a single attack from Lu Chen? Just how terrifying was the spiritual power contained in Lu Chen's spear? Blood poured down like rain, dyeing the sea red. Lu Chen's figure moved, and in the rain of blood he grabbed a head. Without a doubt, that head belonged to Qianji. He was still alive. He looked at Lu Chen in disbelief. Impossible. Impossible. You. What level are you? It's impossible for me to not be able to absorb your spiritual energy. You open the path of immortality. Lu Chen looked at Qianji and sneered. I'm the human emperor. Why would I need to open the path of immortality? Qianji, it seems like the grudge between us is finally settled. From the fifth heaven to the seventh heaven, the grudge between them lasted for tens of years. Finally, Lu Chen defeated Qianji with a single attack. Qianji finally realized this. He looked at Lu Chen in fear. However, Qianji knew that Lu Chen would never let him go, just like how he would never let Lu Chen go. Suddenly, Qianji laughed. Ha ha ha. Lu Chen, so what if you kill me? Your world is going to end. Do you think you and your 3 battle pets can stop 1,000,000 immortal soldiers? Your victory is meaningless. Lu Chen snorted. He moved his finger and nailed Qianji's head onto a tower built by the immortal soldiers. Whether or not I can block it, I'll let you see for yourself. Celestial Master, attack! Qianji shouted at Hongyu furiously. Hongyu immediately woke up and ordered, kill them. The 1,000,000-strong immortal army had finally launched a terrifying attack. It would be difficult for Harry Ball, Xiao Originator, and Xiao Beastie to fend them off. One of the true immortals avoided the Originator and Fur Ball, and with a displacement movement, rushed toward the defenders from a position far away from the little beast. The first merit is mine. Mortals die. After saying that, he waved out dozens of sword chi. However, in an instant, his sword chi collided with a defensive shield. That true immortal's eyes widened. He had never heard of solipsistic being able to set up arrays. Just as he was feeling puzzled, he felt as if someone had tapped his chest a few times. A moment later, his body directly exploded. For a moment, Flesh and blood splattered all over the defensive shield. He turned around with difficulty, only to discover that Solipsistic had already charged towards the immortal army. That guy killed him so easily? However, what was with this defensive array? Just as he was about to fall, he suddenly saw a strange figure among the defenders. That figure was covered in a grayish-yellow armor, and his face was expressionless. It's a puppet? Until his death, that true immortal had never expected that his attack would be blocked by a puppet. At the same time, the attackers on the other lines of defense had also discovered the existence of the defensive array. Logically speaking, such a powerful defensive array could not have been set up in an instant. The Earthlings could not have known that they would be teleported here. Moreover, Lu Qin had been fighting with Qianji all this time, and it was impossible for him to set up the array himself. Then, a few immortal primes discovered the 4 grayish-yellow puppets. They are Earth puppets. Why does Solipsistic have 4 of these legendary puppets? The 4 Earth puppets were evenly distributed at 4 locations along the coastline. Hongyu also discovered that the Heaven and Earth puppets, the God-slaying rat, and the Beast God, were guarding in the middle of the 4 Earth puppets. The 4 Earth puppets will guard the line of defense, while the 3 beasts will fight at the front and kill the invaders. At the same time, the 3 beasts will be able to take care of the 2 Earth puppets. Once someone sneaks up on them, they will be able to support them immediately. On the other hand, Lu Qin will be attacking our army alone. This Lu Qin has set up such a powerful defensive array. Hongyu took a deep breath. They had underestimated Lu Qin. Lu Qin shouted angrily, Buddha body clone. Devil body clone. Ghostly shadows. Little beast, little furball, little originator, be careful of the sneak attackers. Lu Qin said. Then a ghostly shadow appeared in front of a Sengoku and stabbed him with his spear. The Sengoku still wanted to fight Lu Qin. However, his expression changed when he saw Lu Qin's spear. This is so powerful. Lu Qin would not give him a chance. He broke the earth elemental shield with his spear, and the long spear pierced through his body. Lu Qin arrived behind him, grabbed the long spear, and instantly charged into the distance. With 100 miles Dark Crow, 30 to 40 true immortals were directly killed. Behind Lu Qin, little originator was resisting the massive attacks, but it remained motionless. This guy had been on the Divine Beast Island for 3 years, and it had been beaten to a pulp. The consequence of little furball eating on the Divine Beast Island was that its speed was faster than before, and its attack and defense were equally terrifying. Without using any skills, it was no longer afraid of Sengoku. Little furball had become a cultivation engine, and all kinds of divine beast skills were at its fingertips. The million-strong army was actually pinned down by Lu Qin and the 3 beasts. Hongyu narrowed her eyes. 1 man, 3 beasts, and 4 earth elemental puppets had formed 3 lines of defense, and they looked after each other. Hongyu, we must find a breakthrough point as soon as possible. The army is waiting for our news. Hongyu nodded. I know. But which one should be the breakthrough point you mentioned? Lu Qin, Heaven and Earth Elemental Spirit, Sky-Devouring God-Slaying Rat, Earth Elemental Puppet, and Earth Elemental Puppet. The Earth Elemental Puppet was definitely the weakest, but it was at the rear and was only responsible for defense. The Earth Elemental Shield of the Earth Elemental Puppet focused on defense. As long as it stepped on the ground, it could transfer the attack to the whole Earth. As for the other 4, Lu Qin had a large number of doppelgangers to help delay the attacks. The black-robed Lu Qin was like the Grim Reaper, and wherever he went, there would be casualties. Little Originator became more and more powerful as the battle went on. Little Furball could not wait to eat 1 person at a time, increasing the recovery ability of the whole team while increasing their attributes. Little Furball, the combination of 16 divine pets, had endless cultivation techniques and skills, and could also provide shields and elemental attacks for the whole team. Which one should be the weakest? Hongyu suddenly became angry. We can't delay any longer. Celestial primes of the Xianling clan, please join forces with me and kill Solipsistic as soon as possible. Indeed, we can't delay any longer. I've had this intention for a long time. He's just a human king. Can he really defy the heavens? Our 300 celestial primes will join forces to kill him, and his defense line will collapse on its own. They did not expect that a world without true immortals would need their celestial primes to take action. However, they could not care so much now. The myriad race's immortal army was ready to attack, waiting for Earth to sacrifice its flag. The 300 celestial primes of the Xianling clan finally decided to take action, and they decided to use a joint technique. Everyone, we don't have time to tangle with Wuxia. We must kill him in one blow. Let's use the Xianling clan's unique technique, Black Sky 6 Realms Slash. Everyone, please lend me a hand. Okay. Hongyu raised his hand, and the Crimson Moon Slash flew out again. The 300 celestial primes gathered their spiritual energy into this slash, vowing to kill the black-robed man in the crowd. Chapter 1402. At this point, Wuxia had been fighting for a long time. His white hair was stained with blood, but he was still fighting tiredly. The South Sea could not be lost. Wuxia could not be destroyed. Earth could not be destroyed. But at this moment on the horizon, the phantom of a blood-red saber that was thousands of meters long illuminated the entire world. As spiritual energy surged into the blade, it became more and more tangible. The entire South Sea was engulfed in the color of blood. When everyone saw this scene, they could not help but take in a deep breath. This is the power of the celestial lords? This is going to destroy Earth. Oh my God, the combined attack of 300 celestial lords. Is there anyone who can withstand this attack? It's over. The combined attack of 300 celestial lords was enough to destroy the entire South Sea and even the entire Eurasian continent. Ha 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 ha, solipsistic, you want to stop my Xianling cavalry? Stop dreaming. Hongyu laughed maniacally. The celestial army will destroy the human race. Despicable races like you are no longer fit to exist in this world. Wuxia killed a few people with his spear, and turned around to look at the huge blade. This blood-red blade was almost tangible. It was obvious how terrifying the spiritual energy within it was. Do you see this? This is my Xianling ultimate skill, the Black Heavenly 6 Realms Slash. It can break the heavens, break the 6 realms and destroy the stars. Solipsistic, aren't you arrogant? Aren't you very strong? Today, let's see if you're going to take this powerful saber attack or not. If Hongyu was speaking the truth, then everyone had underestimated the power of this attack. This slash could directly destroy Earth. As they spoke, the extremely powerful blood-red blade had already descended from the sky and struck the ground. The blade aura did not travel quickly. In fact, it was unusually slow. However, the moment the blade was unleashed, the heavens and earth shook. A rumbling sound shook everyone's eardrums. The buildings along the coast collapsed and glass shattered. The seawater in the South Sea exploded. However, there were no waves. The seawater that flew up evaporated immediately. Sunken ships and huge rocks rose from the bottom of the sea. The air became blurry, and the battlefield instantly became unreal. The Black Heavenly 6 World Slash was still able to distort space. Such a terrifying move could be said to be unprecedented and unparalleled. Little Beastie shouted, "Dad, this move is too strong. I can't take it." Oh my God. The guard looked at the falling blade in a daze. His eyes were filled with despair. Even Little Beast said so. This meant that the solipsistic sword would not be able to withstand this attack. No matter how strong solipsistic was, the combined attack of 300 immortal venerables was too terrifying. It wasn't something that a human could withstand. Is a planet destroyed by a single slash just like that? If solipsistic can't handle it, then no one can. But before anyone could react, as if by instinct, a black robe flashed in the air. In the blink of an eye, a person had already charged towards the incomparably huge saber shadow. Divine Demon Lotus Heart, Inner Demon. Wuxia used the last enhancement skill. He raised the Void God-slaying spear and blocked the saber. The moment Wuxia came into contact with the Black Sky 6 World Slash, he felt an unparalleled pressure pouring down on him. He had never encountered such power before. The combined attack of 300 immortal venerables was extremely powerful. This move was extremely slow. At the same time, It sacrificed speed to make this move have the power to destroy heaven and earth. In front of the huge saber shadow, a black dot exploded with all his spiritual energy. His eyes were about to pop out and his face was ferocious. Because he was at the center of the collision of spiritual energy, it meant that Lu Chen's physical body was under unimaginable pressure. In the blink of an eye, his black robe with a golden dragon exploded. At this moment, everyone could see the muscles on Lu Chen's upper body bulging and his blood vessels bursting. After a while, countless blood vessels on Lu Chen's upper body exploded. His entire body was dyed red with blood. Unexpectedly, Lu Chen, you actually dared to take on this saber. Hong Yu looked down at Lu Chen with a smile. Oh right, I forgot that you are immortal and have not cut off your mortal bonds. Here there are your family, your friends, and your concerns. Tisk, tsk. Look at this beautiful planet, the sky, the ocean. These are all the things you want to protect. That's why, if you want to climb to the peak of martial arts, you should cut off your mortal bonds to prevent these boring things from becoming your weakness. Lu Chen, it's a pity that you can't protect the things you want to protect. At this moment, Lu Chen was still trying his best to resist the Black Sky 6 World Slash. In just a moment, he was covered in blood and was bleeding from his 7 orifices. Dad. Little Beast wanted to come over and help, but Lu Chen shouted, "Don't come over. Hold the line." Little Beast's eyes were filled with tears as he shouted, "Dad, leave quickly. You can't stop it." Lu Chen resisted the Black Sky 6 World Slash with a determined look. His voice was not loud, but it was very clear. If I can't even protect the things I want to protect, what's the point of my cultivation? As long as I, Lu Chen, am alive, you can forget about touching earth. Hong Yu did not care at all. He waved his hand and a sword aura blasted directly on Lu Chen's back, leaving a bloody mark. Obviously, Hong Yu did not want to kill Lu Chen. He was very sure that Lu Chen could not block this saber. Look, everyone says that the solipsistic is powerful. He can't even dodge my sword. Tell me, how is he powerful? Ha 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 ha. Hong Yu, after hearing what you said, I also feel that the solipsistic is only SOSO. Let me try. Another sword slash. The wound on Lu Chen's back was so deep that his bones could be seen, but it did not take his life. Lu Chen could not withdraw his body to block at all. He spat out mouthfuls of blood, but he still blocked the Black Sky 6 World Slash. Dad. I want to kill all of you. Little Beast was furious. Little Beast. Lu Chen said angrily. Don't distract me again. The Xianling Celestial Honored Master was having a lot of fun. I think we're giving him too much credit by attacking him. Let the itinerant immortals try. Dozens of itinerant immortals took turns to whip Lu Chen. I'll let you be arrogant. Fight back. Why don't you change your hands? How can the great solipsistic be like a dog and be whipped by us? Rays of sword light mercilessly whipped Lu Chen's back and legs. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. At this time, in the headquarters of the Earth Alliance on the Pacific Islands, hundreds of heads of state involuntarily stood up. The great wall of iron and blood was a man, but tears slid down from the corners of his eyes. Lu Chen. It's my honor to have met you in this life. Go, if you live, you might be able to avenge us. Lung Nua's face was already covered in tears. She could not bear to watch anymore, but she had to. President, let's go. You've done enough for Earth. You can die without regrets. Master, it's all our fault for being so useless, we couldn't do anything. Ning Shuang was already in tears. Go, you'll be beaten to death by them like this. Little Lu Yao's eyes were red. Looking at the man on the television, her heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. Dad. This is my dad, he's fighting for Earth, fighting for humanity, fighting for us. Lu Yi's tears had already burst out. She wished that those attacks were on her and not her brother. Brother, let go. Chapter 1403. Lu Chen couldn't avoid the 6-path slash, nor could he deflect it with the inverse soul roaming dragon. If he didn't want the slash to hit Earth, he had to block it completely. Lu Chen hadn't thought of this when he was planning his defense. Lu Chen didn't care about the attack at all. After all, he could tell the strength and location of the attack. If it was fatal, he couldn't not react. He glanced sideways at Little Beast and the others. Little Beast had listened to Lu Chen and was now venting its anger on the other individual immortals, genuine immortals, and even Sengoku. Furry and Originator were fine, and the 4 Guardians of Earth were safe for the time being. Most of the enemy's attention was on him, which bought them more time. Damn it, I'm almost there. Lu Chen gritted his teeth and blocked the 6 paths slash with all his might. The inner devil hasn't reached the critical point yet. A week ago in the fairy cave, when Lu Chen was practicing Endless Daybreak, he destroyed the cultivation room. Mulong ran out angrily and scolded Lu Chen for a while. Then he swaggered back to help Lu Chen repair and strengthen the earth puppet. Lu Chen shook his head. It seemed that he had to go to the cultivation room to practice. The first thing Lu Chen did after entering the cultivation room was to check the Celestial Demon Origin cultivation method. His current Celestial Demon Origin cultivation method was at the 6th level. He had enough spiritual power, but the cultivation method had hit a bottleneck. It seemed that the cultivation method could only reach the 6th level in the Human King realm. Now that Lu Chen had broken through to the Human Sovereign realm, the Celestial Demon Origin cultivation method could finally be upgraded. With this raise, he was directly promoted by 2 levels. The 8th level of the Celestial Demon Origin cultivation method increased Lu Chen's current cultivation speed from 120 points of spiritual power per minute to 500 points of spiritual power. It had more than quadrupled. At the same time, the 8th level of the Celestial Demon Origin cultivation method also provided several exclusive effects. The first item was to expand the area of influence of the celestial might to an entire planet. At the same time, the body's weakened state was cancelled. When the body used the godly might of the sky and the godly might of the sky and godly might of the sky, the body would become an extremely effective spirit-gathering body that could absorb the spirit chi within the affected area. Looking at this increase, Lu Chen shook his head. It's been a long time since I got a God's Blood Demon Seed. Now, the Divine Demon's Heaven's Wrath can only add a few million attributes. It's a little useless. Right now, Lu Chen's Heaven's Might was only at the 8th level. Back when he was at the 6th level, there were already quite a few people who were not affected by it, let alone the immortal army that he was about to face. Those people's Heaven's Might would definitely be at a very high level. It was better to continue extracting attributes directly from the army. Lu Chen was a little disappointed that the level 7 Heart Sutra only added Heaven's Might. But when he saw the level 8 mental cultivation method, Lu Chen frowned again. The 8th level mental cultivation method amplified Calamity of God's Grace and Purgatory of 10,000 Devils. These 2 cultivation methods had been amplified several times already, but unfortunately, Lu Chen had yet to learn them, so they were completely useless. However, the level 8 mental cultivation method also added another ability. The inner demon's rate of erosion of consciousness had increased to 10% per minute. After exiting, one would immediately regain consciousness. When the inner demon state lasted for 5 minutes, it would enter the virtual form. The emptiness of God's and demon's arm would be copied to the right arm, and all attacks launched at this time would receive the virtual attack bonus, and the amplification would be increased by 5 times. Finally, there's something useful. Lu Chen breathed a sigh of relief. After upgrading the mental cultivation method by 2 levels, this was the only thing that could be used. Attack amplification by 5 times, coupled with the attributes of my human emperor realm. I can fight against all races. It's just that the inner demon will last for 5 minutes. By then, half of my consciousness would have been eroded, and the battle after that would take time. It seems that this move needs to be used carefully. It had been a while since Lu Chen entered the inner demon state. Seeing that Lu Chen was still struggling to hold on, Hongyu narrowed his eyes slightly and said coldly, Lu Chen, as a human king, it's enough for you to reach this level. It's time for you to die. But just as Hongyu was about to kill, Lu Chen raised his head, and his eyes emitted rolling green fog. Lu Chen's consciousness had already started to go out of control, and his eyes became extremely cold. After enduring for so long, 5 minutes had passed. Facing Hongyu's killing move, Lu Chen suddenly cracked open his mouth and licked the corner of his mouth, looking inexplicably excited. Hongyu, you're wrong. I'm not a human king. I'm a human emperor. After saying that, Lu Chen's right arm suddenly swelled and rapidly demonized until it was exactly the same as his left arm. He raised his right arm, and a black and white double-colored sword appeared from the void. The infinite celestial demon sword appeared, and all the divine weapons trembled slightly. The 300 mystic spirits, immortal supremes, couldn't help but widen their eyes. What's going on? Isn't the emptiness of gods and demons' arm only a left arm? Why did his right arm also become a great virtual arm? He said he's a human emperor? What kind of realm is a human emperor? Wait, could it be that human emperor is the next realm after human king? Lu Chen was a 14-star human king, and he was invincible below immortal supremes. An 18-star human king's strength was enough to contend with a peak immortal supremes. And human emperor as a big realm could undergo a qualitative change just by crossing it. But this wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that after advancing to the human emperor realm, Lu Chen's celestial demon origin cultivation technique finally broke through the bottleneck and directly advanced by 2 levels. The level 8 celestial demon origin cultivation technique not only greatly increased the cultivation speed, but also greatly strengthened the cultivation technique of the celestial demon life reverser set. One of them was to copy the emptiness of gods and demons' arm to the right arm, increasing both arms and the power of the cultivation technique by 5 times. Great virtual form. Lu Chen roared furiously. His blood-red eyes emitted green mist, and his killing intent soared to the sky. Hongyue, I'll make you pay 100-fold for the whip you lashed on me just now. You dare to touch my homeland? Die. With 9 void steps, Lu Chen gave up defending against the Black Sky 6 Paths slash. However, Lu Chen didn't move aside. Instead, he stood in front of the Black Sky 6 Paths slash. His upper body was bare, and his white hair and body were covered in blood. His eyes were blood-red, and he held the void god-slaying spear in his left hand, and the celestial demon limitless sword in his right hand. Great virtual form, void god-slaying spear, heavenly fury spear. Great virtual form, sky-breaking sword. Immediately after, Lu Chen's figure was as fast as lightning. Break for me. The sea surface within 1,000 miles exploded into waves that were hundreds of feet high. The 2 super powerful moves directly blasted toward the blood-red giant saber that was slashing down from the sky. In the air, a ferocious ring of chi violently exploded. Those immortal soldiers below the immortal supremacy level who were still attacking were all sent flying. The enemies in front of Little Beast, Little Furball, and Little Originator instantly disappeared, but the sudden terrifying storm made it difficult for them to move an inch. The defensive array of the 4 Earthen Guardians was directly shattered. The 4 Earthen Guardians were sent flying backward and crashed into a distant building, burying them in the wall. The screen on the TV instantly turned white. Immediately after, the Shadow Stone exploded, and the image was cut off. The leaders of the Earth Alliance looked at each other, and for a moment, their minds went blank. The solipsistic sword blocked that saber. Chapter 1404. This attack shook the entire universe. Under the combined attack of Lu Chen's one sword piercing the heavens and Heaven's Wrath Spear, the Blood Moon Giant Blade was reduced to nothing but scattered spiritual energy. The Blood Moon Giant Blade that enveloped the entire universe was reduced to ashes. Someone quickly took out another image stone, and the image was sent to the internet, and then to the TVs in every household. Within the white light, a white-haired man with blood all over his body was floating in midair. The wind blew his long hair, but it could not cover his blood-red eyes. The earth was still here, but the black heavenly 6 world slash had been destroyed. Hongyu was so shocked that her entire body was trembling. 300 celestial primes were not genuine immortals nor celestial kings, but they were all celestial primes. How could the mysterious 6 world slash be defeated by a single person? This is impossible. Impossible. Even if he is as strong as a celestial lord, he can't possibly block this attack. Aren't humans the trash among all the other races? How can he be so strong? Why? How can he be so strong when he hasn't opened the path of immortality? Isn't one qualified to be a martial artist after opening the path of immortality? Why? The most unbelievable thing was the head that was pinned on the tower. Qianji only had a head left, but he could see it clearer than anyone else. How can this be? When I was at the 5th celestial layer, I could have easily killed him if I had the essence of heaven and earth. How could he be so strong now? He hasn't become a celestial lord. He is a human. I don't believe it. Obviously, Lu Chen's battle had caused the worldview of many people to collapse. Lu Chen was already used to this. He raised his head and looked at the celestial lords. His blood-red eyes were filled with killing intent. These celestial lords had just executed the Black Heavenly Six-Path Slash, and their spiritual energy was almost depleted. Looking at Lu Chen's murderous eyes, the celestial lords could not help but feel afraid. Aren't there 300 celestial lords? Why are you afraid of me, a mere human emperor? Lu Chen sneered. But soon he changed the topic with a mocking look in his eyes. However, being afraid is the right thing to do. Lu Chen grabbed the god-slaying spear and roared. Great void form, void god-slaying spear, endless daybreak. All of you die. A spear shadow shot into the sky, followed by a flash of white light. At this moment, the dark clouds receded from the dim world. The 300 immortal venerables felt as though they were surrounded by endless spear intent. No matter how hard they tried to defend, they couldn't stop the spear intent attacks. With a blood-curdling scream, the body of a weaker immortal venerable exploded. Following that, screams came one after another from all directions. In the sky, those insufferably arrogant immortal supremes fell from the sky and into the sea under Lu Chen's spear. Scarlet Moon used Scarlet Moonbreak to defend himself. But not only was Endless Daybreak's every attack terrifying, it also seemed like it would never stop until it turned him into ashes. Why, he just blocked the 6 realms Black Sky Slash, and can still use such a terrifying move. Scarlet Moon couldn't imagine. The 300 immortal venerables joined forces to launch the 6 realms Black Sky Slash. At this moment, their spiritual energy was already exhausted, but Lu Chen blocked that attack with difficulty and was still so powerful. In an instant, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Scarlet Moon. Great void form, void god-slaying spear, Heaven's Wrath spear. A white shadow flashed by, and that person was already standing behind Scarlet Moon. Scarlet Moon looked at his body in horror. There was a big hole in his chest and magma was flowing in his internal organs. He opened his eyes wide and struggled to look at the back of that figure. At this moment, after the perfect ending of the move, Lu Chen had already removed his inner demon state. At the same time, the great void form also disappeared. His emptiness of gods and demons arm also returned to a human arm. Lu Chen didn't even turn around, but his cold voice sounded. This spear was stabbed by immortal venerable Pangu. Scarlet Moon's eyes widened. Pangu, before that guy was killed by me, he mentioned you. Haha, ha 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 ha. Pangu was right. He said, as long as you are here, the human race will not be destroyed. The human race, this weak race, actually produced a solipsistic. Scarlet Moon's words were filled with helplessness. One person can defy the heavens. A person like you, even if placed among the 10,000 races, is the strongest kind of person. Lu Chen took a deep breath. If it wasn't for Pangu, he wouldn't have had the chance to become the human emperor. If it wasn't for Pangu, he wouldn't have been able to stop the immortal army from invading Earth. His compatriot had left his hope to him, but he had already fallen. Until the fall of immortal venerable Pangu, he hadn't really met with his compatriot. This was probably his greatest regret. 300 immortal venerables were killed by Lu Chen with a single spear strike. The remaining immortal army was no longer a concern. Fortunately, Lu Chen didn't disappoint immortal venerable Pangu. He protected Earth. With a loud bang, Scarlet Moon's body exploded. Lu Chen's current spear technique had been integrated with the 9-star acupuncture point. The strongest immortal venerable of the profound spirit realm had already become a dead soul under Lu Chen's spear. Lu Chen turned around, found Scarlet Moon's spirit nucleus, and then threw it to the little beast. If it swallowed all 300 immortal venerable spirit nuclei, the little beast's strength would increase by another step. Too terrifying. Solipsistic killed 300 immortal venerables alone. An immortal army soldier's mind was already trembling at this time. He looked at Lu Chen as if he had seen a ghost. No, we can't fight anymore. If Lu Chen doesn't die, this place can't be taken down. Retreat quickly. At this point in the battle, after the immortal army witnessed Lu Chen kill 300 immortal venerables, they had already lost their fighting spirit. They frantically rushed towards the teleportation gate, rushing into it as if they were fleeing. Lu Chen just looked at them indifferently and didn't chase after them. In a short while, all the immortal army soldiers in the sky had fled. Even though the immortal army had fled, there were still corpses left on the surface of the sea. Some were killed by Lu Chen, some were killed by the three beasts, and some were killed by the little fur ball. Those corpses floated on the surface of the sea. Who would have thought that these people used to be Jiutian immortals? A few minutes after the immortal army had retreated, the little beast rushed to Lu Chen and shouted excitedly, "Dad, we stopped them. We defended the earth." The little furball in origin also rushed over. The little furball had already turned into a little white mouse and jumped onto Lu Chen's shoulder. The smell of blood on Lu Chen's body was really tempting, and the little guy couldn't help but sniff. But in the end, it couldn't bear to eat its boss, so it rubbed its little head against Lu Chen. Origin, who had absorbed countless attacks, rushed over and almost knocked Lu Chen away. Fortunately, the little beast stopped it. Lu Chen smiled and said, "The three of you did well. I'll treat you to ice cream when we get back. But there are still some things that need to be solved here. Little beast, these spirit cores are all yours. Little furball and Origin, check the battlefield. Don't leave anyone alive. Earth can't have these people lurking around." "Dad, what about you?" the little beast asked. Lu Chen turned his head and smiled at a tall tower on the shore. "I'm going to chat with an old friend." Chapter 1405. Lu Chen looked at Qianji. "Didn't you say that I would not be able to stop the immortal army from invading? What about now?" Qianji opened his mouth, but he could not say a word. This was because he was left with only his head. If not, he would have vomited blood. Lu Chen smiled. "Actually, I should thank you. If not for you, I would not have grown so fast." Blood flowed out of Qianji's mouth. "Hey, don't you like to be a puppet?" Lu Chen suddenly asked. "I remember you said that you wanted to make my sister into a puppet, right?" Qianji had an ominous feeling. "Lu Chen, what? What are you trying to do?" Lu Chen smiled. "Don't worry. Even if the mystic spirit race is wiped out, I will not let you die." Lu Chen grabbed Qianji's hair and brought his head to the shore. Where are the other four?" Lu Chen frowned and looked around. Impossible. Why would a puppet leave its post? Lu Chen had no choice but to use his puppet control skill to look for his earth puppet. After much effort, Lu Chen rescued the 4 puppets from a pile of rubble. The 4 puppets stood in a row in front of Lu Chen expressionlessly. Lu Chen held Qianji's head and said generously, "Pick any one of the 4. "Lu Chen, what? What are you trying to do?" "Of course, I'm going to make you into a puppet," Lu Chen said. "Don't you like to be a puppet?" Coincidentally, these 4 puppets look exactly the same. There's nothing special about them. As a puppet master, Qianji knew what Lu Chen wanted to do after hearing Lu Chen's words. He wanted to transplant his head into one of the puppets. "No, you can't do that. Kill me. Kill me now." "Why not? That's not what you said before." Lu Chen laughed coldly. Qianji could feel the coldness in his voice. Don't you hate me to the core? You won't be able to take it if you see me like this every day." Qianji started to make plans for Lu Chen. Lu Chen shook his head. "Didn't I just say that I'm quite grateful to you? I don't feel annoyed when I see you. Besides, you've already become my puppet. I make you do things every day. Why can't you stand it?" "Lu Chen, don't be so stubborn. Kill me, I beg you, kill me. I don't have much time left to live. Kill me now." Lu Chen nodded. "I almost forgot. I can't let you die like this." Lu Chen shouted at Little Beast and the others. "Little Beast, I'm going back to Jiutian. I'll be back soon. You guys clean up the battlefield. Let the Marines help you search together. We must not miss anyone." "Yes, Dad," Little Beast replied from afar. After that, Lu Chen summoned Ten-Winged and brought Qianji's head and the 4 earth puppets to Jiang City. Mr. Beast God, can I call you that? One of the Marines looked at Little Beast nervously. No need. Just call me Little Beast Lu. Little Beast replied casually as he stood on the deck and inspected the corpses that the soldiers salvaged. Little Beast Lu? Little Beast stood up. Yes. My dad's name is Lu Chen. He gave me the name Little Beast. Of course, I'm called Little Beast Lu. However, only my dad, auntie and brother are allowed to call me by my nickname. You have to call me Little Beast Lu. Okay. But Mr. Little Beast Lu, you disemboweled him in front of so many people. Isn't that a little too bloody? Little Beast said. Didn't you remove the shadow stone? You're all men. Why are you still afraid of blood? Just as Little Beast finished speaking, one of the men beside him started vomiting. Little Beast's situation was not bad. On the other boat were Little Furball and Originator. As long as the enemy was still breathing, the scene below became extremely horrifying. The whole sea could hear the man's screams. Still breathing? With Little Furball around, he could only regret not dying. He had to admit that Lu Chen's 3 pets were not easy to deal with across the world. A name once again became the focus of attention. Solipsistic, Lu Chen, and some people mentioned Lu Chen's previous name, Nameless. After this battle, those who were still young learned about the legend of Mad God. Even the videos of Mad God in the past instantly returned to the top of the most viewed rankings. At the same time, in Jiutian's Immortal Spirit Grotto Heaven, under Lu Chen's urging, Mulong added a useless function to an earth puppet. He changed the head of an earth puppet. I say, Lu Chen, why do you also like this? Also, can you put on clothes when you come to see me? Mulong said angrily. What if other people see you and misunderstand? Lu Chen was shirtless. He heaved a sigh and said, I also feel sorry for my clothes. Didn't I lose them in the fight? Mulong suddenly stopped what he was doing and stared at Lu Chen with a frown. What? Lu Chen asked curiously. You defeated the Mystic Spirit's immortal army. Why didn't you tell me about such a big thing? Why did you force me to help you make a puppet? You killed Hong Yu? How did you do it? You killed 300 celestial lords? Is it real or fake? It's true. At the side, the head that was waiting to be smelted said uninterestedly, I will never forget in this lifetime that this pervert blocked the profound spirit supreme divine skill of 300 immortal reverence, killed 300 immortal reverence, and even gave Hong Yu an extra spear strike. Qianji knew that he could not escape the fate of being a puppet. Thus he stopped struggling. Mulong was angry and amused at the same time. This Qianji really gave up. Lu Chen suddenly asked, Mulong, I defeated the 10,000 races immortal army in the first battle. What will they do after that? Mulong thought for a moment, and continued to forge the puppets. This kind of thing has never happened before, so I'm not sure. However, in my opinion, their next step will depend on what they think. Normally, after the final battle, they would destroy the human race no matter what. But the flag battle is also very important. Every time they destroy a race, they have to sacrifice the flag. Because this is the only way they can destroy the race. But this time, you defeated the Mystic Spirit's immortal army, killed 300 celestial lords, and caused them to lose the flag battle. This means that they want to destroy the human race, which is against the will of the heavens. They can either ignore the will of the heavens and continue to attack the human world, or they can send another army to win the flag battle. But they might choose another world. Lu Chen frowned. If they did not choose Earth, then he would be in a passive position. He had only ordered a few hundred people to maintain contact with the immortal spirit grotto heaven. But there were many more worlds in the human world. Lu Chen, are you unable to break the heaven's defense formation? Mulong suddenly asked. If you can break the heaven's defense formation, then you will have the ability to attack the other race's immortal realms. At that time, we will have the upper hand, unlike now where we can only wait for their decision. Lu Chen shook his head. Not now. Qianji was happy to hear that. Che, you want to break the heaven's defense formation? Dream on. No matter how strong you are, do you think you can control tens of thousands of worlds? Lu Chen ignored Qianji's mockery and said, 2 months. 2 months later, I should be able to break the Heaven's Defense formation. Qianji almost vomited blood. Is this the reason why I lost to Lu Chen? What the hell is this cultivation speed? Chapter 1406. Qianji's head was attached to one of the earth puppets. The aura of this earth puppet was clearly different. Not bad. Mulong, your crafting skills are amazing. There's nothing wrong with it. Lu Chen nodded in satisfaction. Lu Chen, I will haunt you even if I become a ghost. The earth puppet said fiercely. Lu Chen moved his finger slightly, and the earth puppet slapped itself. Lu Chen you. The puppet slapped itself in the face again. You're too much. The earth puppet grabbed its own neck. Mulong held his forehead. Lu Chen, if we're talking about playing, you're the best. Lu Chen was indeed having fun. He looked at Qianji and smiled. Don't worry, I will not give you the chance to become a ghost. I will protect you from now on. Lu Chen I. Qianji was so angry that he could not speak. His eyes were filled with tears. Why? Are you still not convinced? Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't talk back to me all the time. Otherwise, you will be the one suffering. Lu Chen said sincerely. Qianji finally thought it through. There was no way he could win against Lu Chen now. If Lu Chen wanted him to go east, he would go east. If Lu Chen wanted him to die, he would die. Seeing that Qianji had become obedient, Lu Chen nodded in satisfaction. From now on, you will be the leader of the 4 earth puppets. If you perform well, I might be happy to give you a new body one day. Do you think I will believe a despicable? Before Qianji could finish his sentence, Lu Chen glared at him fiercely. Qianji was also afraid of being beaten up. He held it in and said angrily, You win. I got it. Lu Chen smiled. This fellow who had plotted against him so many times finally admitted defeat. Mulong, how's your world? Fengwu is over there. I thought you might need me here, so I stayed. Lu Chen asked in surprise. You're from the same world as Fengwu. What? Can't I? Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh. He looked at Mulong with great interest. You used to be quite nice to me. Why do I feel like you've become fiercer this time? You have the nerve to say that? Do you know how I lost my cave residence? Not only me, but Fengwu's cave is gone as well. Now all our spiritual tablets are gone. It's because I bet on your arena. Lu Chen frowned. No way. Isn't it obvious? It's fine as long as you win. That's easy for you to say. The stakes were split very carefully. Yi Fan and I just wanted to earn a little more, so. Are you betting with Yi Fan? Lu Chen hurriedly said. Oh, I really forgot to tell you. Yi Fan is strong in everything, but his luck in money is negative. Mulong said. We also found out later. The second time we bet on a different arena, we lost everything. Lu Chen kept shaking his head. Mulong, you're a very smart person. Why can't you understand? Yi Fan not only loses every time he gambles, but his luck in money is extremely terrifying. Think about it. If you bet on a different arena and win money in the end, don't you want to give him a share? Yes, that's what I said at the time. That's it. If you win, won't he make money in the end? If he really makes money, then won't his luck in money be better? Mulong was suddenly enlightened as if he had been struck by lightning. So that's where the problem lies. Lu Chen saw that Mulong understood and nodded in relief. In the future, don't let Yi Fan make money. At most, give him some pocket money, but it can't be for free. You have to give him some tasks and let him work in exchange for rewards. This is fine. I've already verified it. Mulong nodded thoughtfully. No wonder. Ever since I got familiar with Yi Fan, I've been losing money wherever I go. But you've been taking care of him and nothing has happened. Lu Chen suddenly thought of something and said, If you can't make up your mind, ask the Black Armor King. That guy can't fight, but he's a natural counter to Yi Fan. He can crush Yi Fan. What if the Black Armor King isn't around? Ask Little Beast. Lu Chen answered decisively. This time, Lu Chen personally pointed out a clear path for Mulong, who had been bankrupt, finally smiled. He put his arm around Lu Chen's shoulder and called him brother again. Lu Chen, I didn't expect you to know Yi Fan's hidden attributes so well. Of course. If I didn't know, how would we have a place to stay? Sai right. Lu Chen, if Yi Fan bet on you in a battle of life and death, will you? Mulong suddenly thought of this question. Lu Chen thought for a moment and showed a difficult expression. In the end, he said with uncertainty, my disciple shouldn't be so vicious. No, the next time I see him, I have to give him a death order. Qianji looked coldly at the two of them discussing someone's hidden attribute and sighed. Why would I lose to such a guy? At this moment, Li Shang hurriedly walked into the weapon forging room. Chen, there are a lot of people outside. Come out and take a look. Lu Chen frowned slightly and looked at Mulong. Mulong's expression was also confused. The two of them quickly walked to the entrance of the cave. At this moment, there were a few hundred immortals gathered in front of the immortal spirit grotto heaven. There were itinerant immortals, true immortals, Sengoku, and even immortal supremes. Of course, these immortal supremes were definitely not in the top 10. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes and said coldly, what do you want? A female immortal supremes walked out. She looked at Lu Chen's shirtless upper body and said awkwardly, cough cough solipsistic, I'm immortal supreme Ziling. I won't introduce them one by one. We're here to ask for your help. Lu Chen asked in surprise. Help you? Help you with what? We heard that you defeated the Xianling army and stopped the 10,000 races from sacrificing their flag. Is that true? It's true. Lu Chen said directly. Then we hope that we can enter our own world through the portal here. Once we find an enemy, we hope that you can help us. Lu Chen's eyes widened. He was worried that there would not be enough people to inform him. Who knew that there would be so many of them? There are still a lot of people outside. We were afraid that you would misunderstand, so we didn't let them in. Lu Chen looked at Mulong. Mulong smiled at Lu Chen. The two of them had a tacit understanding. Let them in. Let them in as many as they can, Lu Chen said. After fusing Qianji into the Earth Guard, Lu Chen chatted with Mulong for a while before returning to Earth. Earth was temporarily protected, but the invasion of the 10,000 races was not over yet. Lu Chen checked the South Sea again. After confirming that there were no fish that escaped the net, he brought the little beast and the rest back to the immortal spirit grotto heaven. Now Lu Chen needed to seize the time to cultivate. He needed to break the Heaven Dao defense formation as soon as possible to seize the initiative. At the same time, in the seventh heaven, on a deity mountain in the middle of the seven races deity realm, many celestial supremacies gathered. Those who could speak here were all the top celestial supremacies of the various races. Lu Chen defeated the Mystic Spirit Army. This guy blocked the Black Sky Six Paths / from 300 celestial supremacies, and even killed 300 celestial supremacies from the Mystic Spirit race, including Hongyu and Guanghan. I've never heard of such a thing. What should we do next? Since we have decided to destroy the human race in the final battle, we have to destroy the human race. We have to win the flag battle. Could it be that Lu Chen alone can protect every human world? That's right. After we win the flag battle, we will destroy all the human worlds. When that happens, billions of celestial supremacies will come. Can Lu Chen stop them all by himself? If that's the case, let's choose another human world and finish the flag battle as soon as possible. Soon everyone came to an agreement. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.